Chapter 2790. That night, Lan Hongtai came to Lan Yunxiao's residence. Inside the room, Lan Hongtai, Lan Yunxiao, Mu Lingbing, and Bailey Hongzhuang were gathered together. Sita Yan and Mu Lingbing didn't come. They had spent the past few days with Mu Lingbing and Sita Yan, so they already knew what they wanted to know. Lan Hongtai hadn't seen Lan Yunxiao and the others for so many years, so he must have a lot to learn. Thus they didn't bother him. As soon as Lan Hongtai entered the room, he couldn't wait to know what Bailey Hongzhuang and the others had experienced. He was too excited. He never thought he would be able to see Lan Yunxiao and the others again in his lifetime. Lan Yunxiao was also very excited. He thought he would never see Lan Hongtai again. He never thought he would return to the Lan family one day. Lan Yunxiao didn't hide anything and told Lan Hongtai everything that had happened after he left the Lan family. In fact, Bailey Hongzhuang had told him everything in the central plaza today. However, after Lan Hongtai understood the details, the indignation on his face became even more intense. I never thought he would do something worse than a pig or a dog. When Lan Hongtai heard Bailey Hongzhuang's words today, he was shocked. But now that he understood the details, he felt that Lan Jingquang's actions were even more outrageous. Jingquang has never revealed a single flaw in all these years. Lan Hongtai was speechless. He never thought his son would be such a person. Everything that had happened in the past made him feel that Lan Jingquang was terrible enough. But now it seemed his previous thoughts were nothing. So, it was Yixuan who saved you from the Yu family? Lan Yunxiao nodded. That's right. If it wasn't for Yixuan, we would still be in the Yu family. They would never see the light of day again in this lifetime. Hearing Lan Yunxiao's words, Lan Hongtai's face was filled with astonishment. Yixuan, I didn't expect you to be so powerful. I've been searching for their whereabouts all these years, but I didn't find anything. I didn't expect you to not only find out the inside story at such a young age, but also save them. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. It was all thanks to Shirtian Pavilion's help. If it wasn't for Mo Yunjua helping me find this information, it would have been very difficult to save my parents. As soon as these words came out, Lan Hongtai's face showed a trace of realization. The Heaven Slaughter Pavilion's ability to investigate matters is indeed superb. Originally, I also wanted to ask the Heaven Slaughter Pavilion for help, but this task was too complicated, so I didn't accept it. Although he didn't know what the relationship between Bailey Hongzhuang and Mo Yunjua was, he could tell that the friendship between the two was not simple. Shirtian Tower generally would not accept such a task, but because of their friendship with Bailey Hongzhuang, they chose to accept it. Needless to say, Shirtian Pavilion must have spent a lot of time and effort to find out Lan Yunxiao and Mu Lingbing's whereabouts. Yu Xiqing and Lan Jingquang were very careful people. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been unable to find any clues for so many years. No matter what, it's good that you're back. Lan Hongtai looked at Lan Yunxiao and patted his shoulder. His face was filled with gratification. Chapter 2791. He originally thought that he would never return to the Lan family, but the situation turned out to be much better than he had imagined. Even after leaving the family for so many years, the people who supported him had never wavered. To tell the truth, when he saw the support of his clansmen in the central square, his icy heart couldn't help but warm up. As long as Lan Jingquang and the others disappeared from the Lan family, he could still live in the Lan family. After all, this was his home. Lingbing, it's been hard on you all these years. Lan Hongtai turned to look at Mu Lingbing. He had always liked this daughter-in-law of his. Back then, everyone had hoped that Lan Yunxiao would marry a young miss from an aristocratic family, but he was very satisfied after meeting Mu Lingbing. He didn't expect Mu Lingbing's true identity to be so noble. Mu Lingbing shook her head. Father, none of us wanted this to happen. You don't have to blame yourself. Moreover, Yu Xiqing's intervention had a lot to do with my parents. Fortunately, you're all back now. With you by Yun Zhao's side, I can truly be at ease. Lan Hongtai's eyes flickered with relief. He hadn't felt at ease for so many years, but today he could finally be at ease. Not long after, Bailey Hongzhuang and Mu Lingbing also left the room, leaving the space for Lan Hongtai and Lan Yunxiao. The father and son hadn't seen each other for so many years, so they must have a lot to talk about. I wonder how the family will deal with Lan Jingquang and the others. Mu Lingbing's eyes flickered with a complicated light. She and Lan Jingquang were irreconcilable enemies, but Lan Jingquang was still a member of the Lan family. Thus, she didn't know how the Lan family would deal with him. If the Lan family used peaceful methods, she and Lan Yunxiao couldn't stay in the Lan family. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. I don't know how the elders will deal with them, but Lan Jingquang, Yu Manlan, and Yu Xiqing will definitely fall into our hands. As for Lan Qingyan, I will personally deal with her. Mu Lingbing's eyes flashed with surprise. You want to personally deal with Lan Qingyan? Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. She stole my rainbow pearl and kept it for herself for so many years. She will eventually return it to me. She never had the habit of letting her things fall into the hands of others. Mu Lingbing looked deeply at Bailey Hongzhuang. When she saw the determination in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes, she knew that no one could change her daughter's mind once she had made up her mind. Of course, this was also what she hoped for. Back then, Lan Jingquang and his family had cruelly snatched the rainbow sacred pearl from Bailey Hongzhuang. Now they were going to make Lan Qingyan return it. Mother, you don't have to worry about Lan Jingquang and the others. With grandfather and grandmother here, what's there to worry about? Mu Lingbing's eyes lit up as she smiled and nodded. Indeed, this was the benefit of having a background. Even if the Lan clan wasn't willing to take the lives of Lan Jingquang and the others, with the Tiangang sect and the Sun Moon Palace around, the situation was already out of their control. Mu Lingbing went to Mu Jinsei's room as she had some matters to discuss. Bailey Hongzhuang took a stroll in the Lan residence, heading towards the dungeon. Chapter 2792. As they passed by the dungeon, Bailey Hongzhuang saw Lan Qingyan pacing back and forth at the entrance of the dungeon. Her usually arrogant face was now filled with anxiety and worry. At the entrance of the dungeon, the Lan clan members were standing guard with cold faces. Obviously, Lan Qingyan wanted to enter the dungeon to see Lan Jingquang and the rest, but she was rejected. Bailey Hongzhuang's inky black phoenix eyes held a trace of a smile as she slowly walked in front of Lan Qingyan. The affairs of the world are truly unpredictable. Yesterday, you were still clamoring to teach me a lesson. Today, you're actually pacing back and forth in front of the dungeon. How interesting. The moment Lan Qingyan saw Bailey Hongzhuang, her face immediately turned cold. Bailey Hongzhuang, don't be so smug. Everything hasn't come to a conclusion yet. Bailey Hongzhuang shrugged and said, if you want to save Lan Jingquang, I advise you not to waste your efforts. He will never regain his freedom in this lifetime. Once these words came out, Lan Qingyan's face couldn't help but change a little. She said, that's impossible. My father is a member of the Lan clan. The clan head can't treat my father like this. However, when she said these words, Lan Qingyan herself was somewhat lacking in confidence. Usually, it was Lan Jingquang who gave her advice. However, it wasn't just Lan Jingquang. Even the second elder and the rest were all locked up in the dungeon. She was the only one left outside. For a moment, she didn't even have a single person to discuss this with. Her heart was extremely flustered. Lan Jingquang imprisoned my father and mother for so many years. As the saying goes, an eye for an eye. When he made that decision, he should have thought of this day. Stop daydreaming. If Lan Jingquang wants to regain his freedom, there's only one possibility. Lan Qingyan suddenly raised her head, wanting to know what Bailey Hongzhuang was talking about. However, Bailey Hongzhuang's answer made her face turn ashen. Unless he's dead. Bailey Hongzhuang, don't be complacent too early. Lan Qingyan gritted her teeth. No matter what happened in the past, don't forget that I'm the owner of the Rainbow Pearl now. As long as she still had this identity, she would be an important person in the Lan clan. You can't take the Rainbow Pearl away from my body. You must know that every successor of the Rainbow Pearl is destined to be the successor of the Lan clan. Hearing this, the mocking smile on Bailey Hongzhuang's lips deepened. Could it be that you really think that the Rainbow Pearl is your own? Or have you already hypnotized yourself to believe that you are the chosen successor of the Rainbow Divine Pearl during the years that I was away? Feeling the thick sarcasm in Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Lan Qingyan did not care at all. So what if you're the first successor of the Rainbow Pearl? For the past 10 years the Rainbow Pearl with Lan, and with Lan you're the Lan clan with Lan clan. You can't take it back. Only I am the future head of the Lan clan. Lan Qingyan looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with burning eyes. Her eyes were filled with hatred and anger. If it wasn't for Bailey Hongzhuang's interference, she would have become the true head of the Lan clan. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly. Since you like to daydream so much, I won't stop you. Enjoy. Chapter 2793. Inside the dungeon. The originally spacious dungeon was now filled to the brim. Lan Kaicheng and the others stayed in the dungeon, unable to hide their depressed expressions. Before today, they were still important people in the Lan family. They didn't expect that in just one day, their status would change so drastically. Our actions today were too impulsive. If we could have restrained ourselves, we wouldn't have fallen to such a state. Lan Yongtai couldn't help but complain. That's right. After our internal strife, there's no longer any room for maneuvering. Sai, why did I make such an impulsive decision? Now it's too late for regrets. I don't know if there's a chance to redeem ourselves if we apologize to the family head. Everyone voiced their opinions one after another. The current situation was truly a headache for them. If today's incident happened again, they definitely wouldn't listen to Lan Jingquang's instigation and choose to act. Things have already reached this point. It's useless for us to regret it. We can only wait until we see the family head to express our attitude and hope to be forgiven. Lan Kaicheng's mood was also extremely complicated. His original identity was already the second elder of the Lan family. Even if he had always been on Lan Jingquang's side, if he hadn't caused internal strife today, at most he would have lost some power. At least he would be safe. However, at that time, he was blinded by what had happened and made such an irrational decision. As an elder of the Lan family, he knew the severity of internal strife too well. The family head would definitely punish them severely. However, compared to Lan Jingquang's actions, their actions were nothing. Hearing Lan Kaicheng's words, Lan Yongtai's people seemed to have found their backbone. Second elder, do you think the family head will forgive us if we beg for mercy? After seeing the teams from Tiangang sect and Sun Moon Palace, they already knew that there was no way out if they continued to follow Lan Jingquang. Now they only hoped to cut ties with Lan Jingquang as soon as possible. Only then could they see the light of day again. Lan Kaicheng's face darkened slightly. He thought for a moment and said, I don't know either. I just hope that the family head can let us go this time on account of our hard work and no contributions. Hearing Lan Kaicheng's words, everyone sighed. Who would have thought that they would end up in such a situation? Everyone fell into silence, their minds constantly thinking about how to plead for leniency when they saw the patriarch. Lan Jingquang's face turned ugly as he listened to everyone's discussion. These people were usually on the same side as him. Now that a disaster was about to befall them, everyone began to plead with the patriarch and completely forgot about their existence. This feeling made him very unhappy in his heart. However, he knew very well in his heart that at this point, it was already impossible for them to remake it. Therefore, he had no right to complain about Lan Kaicheng and the others. In truth, if it weren't for the fact that his actions against Lan Yunxiao were discovered, there would be no chance of him being forgiven. He also hoped to see the light of day again. Chapter 2794. Yumanlan couldn't help but panic when she saw that everyone was thinking of how to ask the house head for mercy, so they could leave the dungeon. Perhaps the others had a chance of being pardoned, but what about her and Lan Jingquang? Jingquang, what should we do? Yumanlan looked at Lan Jingquang, not knowing what to do. Lan Jingquang had always been her backbone. Lan Jingquang, who was already extremely vexed, couldn't help but reveal a displeased expression when he heard Yumanlan's words. If you hadn't repeatedly assured me that Lan Yunxiao and the others were already dead, and that I didn't need to continue investigating, how could we have fallen to such a state? Now he regretted this matter the most. Back then, he had felt that the deaths of Lan Yunxiao and Lan Qingyan were somewhat strange and wanted to investigate it thoroughly. Unfortunately, he had listened to Yumanlan's words and let down his guard, resulting in today's tragedy. If not for that, He would have been incomparably glorious today. Hearing Lan Jingquang's reprimand, Yu Manlan couldn't help but tremble, her face turning pale. I also didn't expect this to happen. If I had known, I wouldn't have said that. Yu Manlan said in a low voice. Didn't expect, you never expected. When did you ever think of it? Lan Jingquang couldn't help but flip out. He hated seeing Yu Manlan like this the most. Yu Manlan lowered her head and intertwined her fingers. Facing Lan Jingquang's anger, she didn't dare to say anything. This matter was indeed her fault. She had long regretted it, but regret was of no use. She hated herself. She hated herself for ruining Lan Qingyan's future because of a moment of carelessness. After a while, Lan Jingquang slowly said, as long as Qingyan still has the rainbow pearl, we still have a chance. Yu Manlan's eyes lit up. She hurriedly asked, really? Is there really a glimmer of hope? Lan Jingquang nodded. Right now, only we are imprisoned. Qingyan is still free. This proves that her identity as the successor of the rainbow pearl still holds some weight. As long as Qingyan can put in more effort to plead for us, perhaps there is still a chance. That's right, Qingyan is still safe and sound. Yu Manlan muttered. Every time, the successor of the rainbow pearl should be the Lan family's patriarch. This time, even if Bailey Hongzhuang and the others appear, there shouldn't be any changes. Yu Manlan's hands were. She could not stop pacing back and forth. Right now they were only locked up in the dungeon, and the specifics of how they would be dealt with had yet to be revealed, so they still had a glimmer of hope. Compared to Lan Jingquang and the others who still had hope in their hearts, Yu Xiqing's face was ashen. She thought that she would never see Mu Jinsei again in this lifetime. She didn't expect that when they met again, Mu Jinsei would appear in such a manner in front of her. It was a huge blow to her. In the past few decades he had always been the victor. Who would have thought that there would be such a huge reversal? As long as she thought about Sita Yan and Mu Jinsei living happily together in the future, her heart would go crazy with jealousy. Chapter 2795. Yu Xiqing suddenly could not understand. She had thought that she had won, so why did this happen? Could it be that Si Tu Yan and the others had been deceiving her all these years? Yu Xiqing shook her head. This was impossible. That damned Lan Yixuan. I should have strangled her to death back then. Then things wouldn't have turned out this way. This is all because of Lan Yixuan. When she thought about how her cultivation was sealed and how she didn't even have the slightest strength to resist, and how she had been poisoned by the goo poison, she felt her scalp go numb. She had always been successful. When had she ever fallen to such a state? Could it be that she had committed too many sins and the heavens had sent some to punish her? Yu Xiqing shook her head. She would never admit to such a thing. I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong at all. That bitch and the daughter she gave birth to should have died. The Yu clan head Yu Taotian was also dizzy. According to the news he had received, everyone in the Yu clan had been detained. Judging from the attitude of the Tiangang sect and the Sun Moon Palace, the Yu clan would probably be completely wiped out this time. Thinking of this possibility, Yu Taotan wanted to faint. If the Yu clan completely disappeared from the Shangxian continent, how could he face the ancestors of the Yu clan? There was a rainstorm in the middle of the night, washing away the stench of blood in the Blue Sun City. When the morning sun shone on the Blue Sun City again, the sky was clear after the rain, as if symbolizing the current Lan clan. Bailey Hongzhuang, Lan Yunxiao and the others arrived at the Lan clan's meeting hall early in the morning. The various elders and managers of the Lan clan were already waiting in the meeting hall. When Bailey Hongzhuang arrived at the meeting hall, she saw that Lan Hongtai and the various elders were already there. Today, Bailey Hongzhuang was going to perform a blood test in the Lan clan. This was a necessary ceremony for the Lan clan. Only by proving Bailey Hongzhuang's true identity could they confirm Bailey Hongzhuang's position in the Lan clan. This way, no one would doubt Bailey Hongzhuang's identity. Bailey Hongzhuang did not care about this at all. In fact, Lan Hongtai only wanted Bailey Hongzhuang to go through the motions so that he could announce to the world that Bailey Hongzhuang was Lan Yixuan. After all, anyone who saw Bailey Hongzhuang's face would never suspect that she was Lan Yunxiao and Mu Lingbing's daughter. At this moment, Lan Qingyan was also in the meeting hall. She still had a sliver of hope in her heart. She only hoped that Bailey Hongzhuang was not a member of the Lan family. If that was the case, everything would be like a dream and she would not have to worry anymore. Yixuan, are you ready? Lan Hongtai's face was filled with a loving smile, his voice gentle as he asked Bailey Hongzhuang. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. Her delicate and beautiful face was filled with confidence as she said, I'm ready. Hearing Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Lan Hongtai turned to look at Lan Borong. Lan Borong immediately understood and waved his hand to instruct his subordinates to bring the blood testing stone over. The blood testing stone is our Lan clan's method of testing whether someone is related. As long as the blood matches the blood testing stone, they are related by blood. If they don't, then they are not related by blood. In front of everyone's eyes, they saw a servant carrying a black stone into the room. Chapter 2796. This black stone was in the shape of a heart, glossy and deep. It didn't reflect any light, revealing a trace of profoundness. In the center of the meeting hall, the servants had already placed a table on which the love testing stone was placed. After the servants left, Bailey Hongzhuang took out a dagger and cut her 10 fingers. A drop of blood fell on the love testing stone. Everyone's eyes fell on the love testing stone. As the drop of blood dripped down, the silent black love testing stone suddenly emerged with a touch of bloody light. Immediately after, the blood merged into the love testing stone and disappeared. After Lan Hongtai and the others saw this scene, the smiles on their faces couldn't help but deepen. Sure enough, it's our Lan family's Yixuan. Welcome back to the family, second miss. Congratulations, patriarch. Congratulations. Everyone's faces were full of smiles. Lan Qingyan was the Lan family's eldest. Mississippi Bailey Hongzhuang was younger than Lan Qingyan by 3 years. She had always been the Lan family's second Mississippi. Looking at this harmonious scene, Lan Qingyan's heart was extremely upset. If it was someone else, it would be Lan Yixuan. But this person was Bailey Hongzhuang, the person she hated the most. Ever since he saw Lan Yunxiao and the others return yesterday, the smile on Lan Hongtai's face had never disappeared. Only when Lan Jingquang was mentioned did his expression change. While everyone is here, let's discuss the next family head. Lan Hongtai slowly said. Once these words were spoken, the entire meeting hall quieted down. Everyone's eyes fell on Bailey Hongzhuang and Lan Qingyan. Bailey Hongzhuang's performance yesterday was indeed the focus of everyone's attention. It was hard to ignore. Based on the Lan family's current situation, Bailey Hongzhuang was more suitable to be the next family head. After all, the Lan family's remaining members were Lan Hongtai's direct descendants. Lan Qingyan didn't have any supporters behind her. Moreover, with Lan Jingquang and Yu Manlin's previous actions as a stain, Lan Qingyan would be criticized as the next family head. I think second miss is more suitable to be the family head. Lan Borong was the first to express his opinion. Immediately after, the other elders also nodded and echoed Lan Borong's opinion. Seeing this scene, Lan Qingyan could no longer restrain herself. She immediately stood up and said, Everything that my parents have done, I have never been aware of. Elders, how can you treat me like this because of my parents' mistakes? Could it be that all your support for me all these years were all false? Lan Qingyan's face. Of Lan Qingyan's words. Following Lan Qingyan's appearance, the originally harmonious atmosphere was once again destroyed. The expressions of the various elders also changed. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled as she looked at Lan Qingyan. This woman had really learned her parents' shameless ways incisively and vividly. Now that she was pretending to be innocent, it really was like that. Lan Hongtai frowned slightly. The reason why he locked up Lan Jingquang and Yu Manlan in the dungeon but not Lan Qingyan was because he felt that Lan Qingyan was not the instigator. Everything was caused by her parents. After all, when everything happened, Lan Qingyan was only a 3-year-old child. Chapter 2797. Lan Qingyan, you actually dare to say that you didn't know anything in front of my parents. Your face is as thick as the city walls. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly as she looked at Lan Qingyan with ridicule. The latter couldn't stand this passive situation anymore and wanted to salvage everything. Lan Qingyan's expression slightly changed, but her attitude was extremely firm. She had already made up her mind. No matter what Bailey Hongzhuang said, she wouldn't admit that she had anything to do with this matter, because this was her only hope of winning. Bailey Hongzhuang, don't slander me. Why should I believe whatever you say? If I say I didn't, then I didn't. Mu Lingbing and Lan Yunxiao also frowned after seeing this scene. They couldn't be any clearer about the truth of the matter. Yunxiao, Lan Qingyan's style is very similar to Lan Jingquang's. If she stays, I'm afraid she will be a disaster in the future. Mu Lingbing couldn't help but want to stand out and tell the truth, but Lan Yunxiao pulled her hand and stopped her. Don't worry, the younger generation can solve their own problems. Hearing this, Mu Lingbing hesitated for a moment, but her gaze became firm when it landed on Bailey Hongzhuang. Her daughter was much more outstanding than Lan Qing. Lan Jingquang and Yu Manlan have been supporting you to become the young master of the Lan family all these years. They didn't hide anything from you. When I went to the Yu family to save my parents, I saw you coming out of the dungeon with my own eyes. Not only me but also Di Beichen. Don't tell me you want me to find a witness and say it until you can't refute it? Hearing this, Lan Qingyan's expression suddenly changed, and her hands couldn't help but tremble under her sleeves. There was actually a witness. Di Beichen and you are of the same mind, so how can you believe his words? Bailey Hongzhuang narrowed her eyes and smiled faintly. How about I go find the Yu family's patriarch and use some methods to make him speak the truth? Everyone didn't forget that just like Bailey Hongzhuang's brilliant medical skills, her poison skills were also extremely terrifying. That's because you tortured him into confessing. Lan Qingyan angrily glared at Bailey Hongzhuang, unwilling to continue speaking. According to the rules of the clan, the owner of the Rainbow Pearl must become the head of the clan. Could it be that all the elders have forgotten this point? Lan Qingyan's face was filled with confidence and certainty. She didn't believe that everyone could overlook the importance of the Rainbow Pearl. Following Lan Qingyan's words as expected, the elders' faces all revealed hesitation. This was what they cared about the most. If it wasn't for the fact that the Rainbow Pearl was in Lan Qingyan's hands, Bailey Hongzhuang would undoubtedly become the next patriarch of the Lan family. To the Lan family, the Rainbow Divine Pearl was simply too important. In the history of the Lan family, the owner of the Rainbow Divine Pearl was the spiritual leader of the Lan family. His rallying power was not something that ordinary people could compare to. Although Lan Yixuan was the one chosen by the Rainbow Divine Pearl, the Rainbow Divine Pearl was indeed in Lan Qingyan's hands. It was precisely because of the importance of the Rainbow Divine Pearl that everyone still wanted to protect Lan Jingquang when he caused such a huge mess 19 years ago. But now, under such circumstances, they also didn't know how to choose. Chapter 2798. The assembly hall fell into silence. Everyone was thinking about how to decide on this matter. It was indeed a big problem. Lan Qingyan looked at Bailey Hongzhuang complacently. The latter had already determined that she had won this game, but she neglected the most important point. She wanted to see if Bailey Hongzhuang could continue to be indifferent. However, when Lan Qingyan looked at Bailey Hongzhuang, she discovered that Bailey Hongzhuang's face did not have the slightest bit of worry. On the contrary, it was as if everything was under her control. This made Lan Qingyan frown. Could it be that she had miscalculated something? Or, Bailey Hongzhuang's current calmness was all an act? Lan Hongtai looked at Bailey Hongzhuang and Lan Qingyan, who were confronting each other, and the light in his eyes gradually turned into determination. He had already thought about it. Even if he did not abide by the clan rules, he would let Bailey Hongzhuang become the Lan family's patriarch. On one hand, it was because he owed Lan Yunxiao and Bailey Hongzhuang. On the other hand, Bailey Hongzhuang's ability was much stronger than Lan Qingyan's. With Bailey Hongzhuang leading the entire Lan family, this development would definitely be much better than Lan Qingyan's. He believed that the heavens had chosen the Rainbow Pearl's inheritor to be the Lan family's savior. Even if the Rainbow Pearl was not in Bailey Hongzhuang's body, this identity would not change. At this moment, Bailey Hongzhuang's voice sounded. You murdered your family and incited internal strife in the family. How can you be the Lan family's patriarch? Do you think that the Lan family members still respect you like before? These words were like a sharp blade that ruthlessly pierced Lan Qingyan's heart. This was the thing she could not accept the most right now. Along the way today, she only felt that everyone's gaze towards her revealed a trace of unfamiliarity and disbelief. It was completely different from the respect and worship in the past. She had long been used to being surrounded by stars. Now that she was facing all this, it really made her unhappy to the extreme. What are you talking about? The patriarch was supposed to be the most powerful existence in the family. In terms of cultivation and talent, you can't compare to me in any aspect. I'm the one who should be the patriarch. Lan Qingyan raised her voice and looked at Bailey Hongzhuang mockingly. She ignored all other questions. She was already at the first level of the purple realm, while Bailey Hongzhuang was still at the 9th level of the blue realm. Moreover, with the rainbow pearl, her cultivation talent was incomparable to ordinary cultivators. She didn't know how Bailey Hongzhuang got to where she was today, but as long as she had the rainbow pearl, it was only a matter of time before she left Bailey Hongzhuang behind. Hearing Lan Qingyan's words, Bailey Hongzhuang suddenly laughed. Hee. Everyone, including Lan Qingyan, looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. They didn't know what Bailey Hongzhuang was laughing about. This is the first time I've seen someone so complacent after stealing someone else's thing. Don't tell me. You really think that after stealing the rainbow pearl it's really yours? Lan Qingyan's expression gradually changed. In her heart, she couldn't understand the meaning of Bailey Hongzhuang's words. Now the 7-colored divine pearl is mine. She didn't believe that Bailey Hongzhuang could take the rainbow pearl away from her. However, Bailey Hongzhuang's next words made everyone's expression change. Chapter 2799. Following Bailey Hongzhuang's words, the entire meeting hall fell into silence. Even the sound of a pin dropping could be heard. Everyone looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in shock. For a moment, they couldn't react to Bailey Hongzhuang's words. Lan Qingyan was also stunned for a moment. Then she couldn't help but laugh. Haha. Lan Qingyan pointed at Bailey Hongzhuang with one hand and covered her face with the other. As if she had heard the funniest joke in the world, she laughed so hard that her body trembled. What kind of joke is this? Could it be that you have 2 rainbow pearls in your body and my father only took one out? Faced with Lan Qingyan's ridicule, Bailey Hongzhuang only raised her eyebrows and said sarcastically, "My ability is naturally not something that a person like you who covets other people's things can understand. Even if you want to become the master of the Lan family, you don't have to make such a joke that no one will believe. In the history of the Lan family, such a thing has never happened before. What's the point of saying such a lie that will be exposed immediately? It's just a joke." Lan Hongtai, Lan Borong, and the rest couldn't help but look at each other. What Bailey Hongzhuang said was too absurd. No one would believe it. However, the person who said this was Bailey Hongzhuang. That would be a different story. From the time they met Bailey Hongzhuang until now, all the impossible things that Bailey Hongzhuang said eventually became the truth. With Bailey Hongzhuang's character, it was really hard for them to doubt that Bailey Hongzhuang was lying. However, Bailey Hongzhuang also had the rainbow pearl. Could this be true? Just because you haven't heard of it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into an enchanting smile. Her expression was full of certainty and confidence. Looking at Bailey Hongzhuang's expression, Lan Qingyan didn't know why, but she also felt uncertain in her heart. If you have the ability, then show it. Otherwise, don't talk nonsense here. In the next second, Bailey Hongzhuang directly stretched out her right hand, and a dazzling rainbow-colored essence force quietly appeared in Bailey Hongzhuang's hand. Following the appearance of this rainbow-colored essence force, the entire discussion hall fell into silence once again. Everyone stared blankly at the familiar 7-colored light, their faces filled with disbelief. 7-colored essence force? This is really 7-colored essence force. Lan Borong muttered to himself, as if he was completely shocked by this scene and didn't know how to respond. Isn't second Miss Rainbow Pearl already in eldest Miss hands? Then why does she still have 7-colored essence energy now? Could it be that the seven-colored divine pearl grew out of eldest Miss's body? Everyone looked at each other. Such a thing had never been recorded in the history of the Lan family. Following the fall of the cultivator, the seven-colored divine pearl would also disappear. However, the re-emergence of the seven-colored divine pearl was simply unheard of. Lan Qingyan stared blankly at the seven-colored light in Bailey Hongzhuang's hand. After a short moment of shock, she regained her senses. This was because she realized that the seven-colored essence force that Bailey Hongzhuang displayed was completely different from her own. Why is your seven-colored origin energy different from mine? In the next moment, a ray of seven-colored light also appeared in Lan Qingyan's hand. Chapter 2800. The rainbow light in Lan Qingyan's hand was something that everyone was very familiar with. All these years, they had often seen it on Lan Qingyan's body. However, Bailey Hongzhuang's rainbow elemental energy made everyone feel unfamiliar. These two different kinds of seven-colored yuan qi were placed together. For some reason, everyone only felt that Bailey Hongzhuang's seven-colored yuan qi was more dazzling and charming, as if it was stronger than Lan Qingyan's seven-colored yuan qi. Towards this feeling that came from the bottom of their hearts, no one could doubt it. Bailey Hongzhuang, your rainbow pearl isn't a fake, right? Lan Qingyan looked at Bailey Hongzhuang mockingly, the smug look on her face becoming more and more intense. Could it be that in order to obtain the position of the family head, you use some special method to turn your elemental energy into rainbow colors for a short period of time? However, after all, you haven't seen the rainbow elemental energy for real, so this imitation is somewhat wrong. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled faintly without saying a word. Lan Qingyan might not be clear about this evolved rainbow elemental energy, but she believed that among the family head and elders, there would definitely be people who would know. Lan Hongtai stared at the rainbow elemental energy in Bailey Hongzhuang's hand, and faintly thought of a possibility in his mind. Could this be the evolved rainbow elemental energy? When these words came out, all the elders were stunned. When they looked at the rainbow light in Bailey Hongzhuang's hand again, their gazes had changed. It is said that if the successor of the rainbow pearl obtains the primal chaos tablet's affirmation, the rainbow pearl will be able to evolve. After the evolution, the rainbow pearl's power will increase once again, and the rainbow light will be as bright and vast as the Milky Way. Lan Borong slowly explained the contents of the family's history books, and wasn't the rainbow elemental energy in Bailey Hongzhuang's hand exactly like this? The originally proud Lan Qingyan was suddenly stunned. She looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in disbelief, not daring to believe that there was such a possibility. However, Lan Qingyan's mind couldn't help but recall the scene when Bailey Hongzhuang obtained the primal chaos tablet's affirmation during the Battle of Zhualu. At that time, Bailey Hongzhuang clearly resonated with the primal chaos tablet. At this moment, she recalled that when she returned to the family, her father asked her if there were any changes to the rainbow pearl, and she said no. Looking at it now, it wasn't that the information recorded in the family's history books were wrong. It was because she didn't win over Bailey Hongzhuang, resulting in Bailey Hongzhuang's rainbow pearl's rainbow pearl, but she didn't. Second miss your rainbow god pearl and the primal chaos tablet from the Battle of Deer. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes, Bailey Hongzhuang's expression, Bailey Hongzhuang's S, the primal chaos pearl's primal chaos tablet, all's eyes is right with the rainbow pearl's lands. Its rainbows had a SS as the primal chaos tablets the Zhualan's lands it. S what's written. Thus what was written. S what it's what's written's they SS? All the elders' faces were filled with excitement. The rainbow pearl was an extremely important inheritance to the Lan family. However, the number of times a successor of the rainbow pearl appeared was simply too few. They didn't expect that they would be able to see an evolved rainbow pearl in their lifetime. It was truly delightful. In that case, our Lan family really has hope. An evolved rainbow pearl's effects must be extraordinary. Second miss is indeed not an ordinary person. Chapter 2801. In an instant, Bailey Hongzhuang had become the savior in the hearts of the Lan family. Such an existence with such extraordinary talent was the natural successor of the Lan family. Initially, everyone was still worried about the rainbow sacred pearl. But now all these problems no longer existed. Who could still doubt that Bailey Hongzhuang would become the next master of the Lan family? Among all the members of the Lan family, there was no one more suitable than Bailey Hongzhuang. Lan Hongtai's face also revealed a gratified smile. After this civil war, the Lan family had to deal with a group of clan members. Their strength had weakened by a lot. Lan Hongtai had always been worried about this. After all, the Lan family also had enemies. However, now that they had Bailey Hongzhuang, as long as this news spread, the others would not dare to act rashly. They only needed a little more time and the Lan family would be able to recover. Lan Qingyan stared blankly at Bailey Hongzhuang in front of her. For a moment, she still could not regain her senses. Until now, she still could not believe that Bailey Hongzhuang actually had the rainbow sacred pearl. Moreover, this rainbow sacred pearl had evolved. She finally understood why Bailey Hongzhuang had been so calm from the beginning to the end. It turned out that everything was already under her control. However, she could not understand why Bailey Hongzhuang could do this. Could it be that the heavens were giving her preferential treatment? If your rainbow divine pearl can evolve, so can my rainbow divine pearl. Lan Qingyan hurriedly said. She looked at Lan Hongtai and the rest and said, just give me a little more time and my rainbow sacred pearl will definitely evolve. It will definitely not be worse than Bailey Hongzhuang. You can't completely overrule me just because of this. Lan Qingyan was very anxious. Now, everyone was standing on Bailey Hongzhuang's side. If she did not seize this opportunity, then she would never be able to turn things around in this lifetime. Until now, you still don't understand the gap between us? Bailey Hongzhuang raised her eyes slightly. Lan Qingyan was really a stupid opponent. I am the true inheritor of the rainbow sacred pearl. Even if your parents use despicable means to transplant the rainbow sacred pearl from my body into your body, what's not yours is not yours. The rainbow sacred pearl will not be able to unleash its true power in your body. Do you understand? Bailey Hongzhuang's voice was cold and emotionless. Even if Lan Qingyan did not participate in all this many years ago, the ruthlessness and selfishness in her bones was the same as her parents'. He was always greedy for other people's things and wanted to take them for himself. In fact, all of this was nothing but an idiot's explanation. Lan Qingyan stared blankly at Bailey Hongzhuang. The latter's words were constantly attacking her self-confidence. Even she couldn't help but doubt herself in her heart. The tablet didn't choose her but chose Bailey Hongzhuang. Was it because Bailey Hongzhuang was the true inheritor? Only. She was truly a proud daughter of heaven. All these years so many people praised and envied her. Could it be that it was all fake? I don't believe it. Lan Qingyan shook her head. The reason why your rainbow god pearl was able to evolve was merely a coincidence. If I were to encounter another primal chaos tablet, my rainbow god pearl would definitely be able to evolve as well. Chapter 2802. Looking at Lan Qingyan's sophistry, everyone felt somewhat helpless. In these 2 days, Lan Qingyan had suffered quite a blow. As her elders, they didn't want to completely destroy Lan Qingyan's self-confidence. However, no one took Lan Qingyan's words to heart. Lan Qingyan could naturally feel that everyone was unmoved. This feeling made her heart crumble. However, if she were to admit defeat now, she would have nothing left. Even if your rainbow pearl has evolved, my cultivation is still stronger than yours. Lan Qingyan looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with burning eyes. She would never admit that she was inferior to Bailey Hongzhuang. It's only a difference of 1 level. I advise you not to deceive yourself and others. Bailey Hongzhuang's cold voice was filled with indifference. Even if Lan Qingyan had reached the point of speaking without thinking, Bailey Hongzhuang still didn't have the slightest bit of sympathy. Compared to what Lan Jingquang and his family had done to them, these losses were nothing. Unless you can defeat me, I will never back out like this. Lan Qingyan clenched her hands into fists. Her eyes were filled with determination. It's not like you haven't lost to me before. Lan Qingyan was stunned. I'm no longer the same as before. The difference between the 9th level of the blue realm and the 1st level of the purple realm is not that simple. Lan Hongtai's brows gradually wrinkled. Lan Qingyan was completely fooling around at this moment. Qingyan, just as Lan Hongtai was about to ask Lan Qingyan to give up, Bailey Hongzhuang's voice suddenly rang out. Okay, I promise you. Once these words came out, everyone present was stunned. Even Lan Qingyan was a little stunned. She knew all too well that her words were not persuasive to the elders. However, Bailey Hongzhuang actually agreed just like that. As long as you can defeat me in tomorrow's competition, I will give up the family head position. Hearing this, Lan Qingyan couldn't help but be delighted. However, Bailey Hongzhuang's next sentence made her fall into hesitation. If you lose, return the 7-colored divine pearl to me. Her cold voice was filled with determination. Bailey Hongzhuang's gaze was as sharp as a knife. Her things would never fall into the hands of others. The 7-colored divine pearl is already in my body. How can I return it to you? The same way Yu Xiqing removed the 7-colored divine pearl from my body, I will do the same to you. Everyone stared at Bailey Hongzhuang in shock. Her words were far beyond their expectations. Mu Lingbing also understood the meaning of Bailey Hongzhuang's words when she was talking to her. Lan Qingyan struggled in her heart. She never thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would make such a request. Since you already have the rainbow divine pearl, why do you still want mine? Watch your words. The 7-colored divine pearl was never yours. Bailey Hongzhuang's gaze was extremely cold. In the face of such a shameless Lan Qingyan, the disgust in her heart grew even stronger. If you don't agree, then there's no need for this competition to continue. Think about it yourself. After a long while, Lan Qingyan gritted her teeth and nodded. Okay, I agree. She couldn't miss this opportunity. With her strength at the 1st level of the purple realm, she still had a chance of winning against Bailey Hongzhuang. Chapter 2803. I hope that family head and elders won't interfere in tomorrow's death match. Bailey Hongzhuang turned around and looked at Lan Hongtai and the others. Her battle with Lan Qingyan was imperative. Lan Hongtai and the others all had complicated expressions. The irreconcilable situation between Bailey Hongzhuang and Lan Qingyan did not exceed their expectations. However, no matter who lost, it would be a loss to the Lan family. Family head, since the younger generation has already agreed, why don't we proceed with it? Lan Yunxiao's mellow and magnetic voice rang out in the quiet discussion hall. Lan Hongtai couldn't help but look at Lan Yunxiao. After seeing the latter's calm eyes, he muttered to himself for a moment before saying, All right, Yunxiao, if you agree to this matter just like this, Lan Qingyan will definitely take the opportunity to take Yishuan's life if she is defeated during the competition. Mu Lingbing tightly knitted her brows. She really couldn't understand. With their current situation, there was simply no need to carry out this kind of competition. Bing-er, this is what Yishuan wants to do. Why should we stop her? Chapter 2804. After so many years of grudges, Mu Jin's finally found a way to vent. She wouldn't let Yu Xiqing die so easily. She wanted Yu Xiqing to experience all the pain she had suffered all these years. Death was too easy, but living a life worse than death was the real torture. Lan Jingquang and Yu Manlin's hearts trembled when they heard Yu Xiqing's anguished wails. The scenes of how they had tortured Lan Yunxiao and Yu Manlan all these years flashed through their minds. If all of this fell on their heads, they wouldn't be able to bear it. Since Lan Qingyan was going to have a death match the next day, she was allowed to see Lan Jingquang and the rest tonight. No one knew if they would have a chance to meet again after today. When Yu Manlan saw Lan Qingyan, she couldn't help but feel excited. Qing, you're here. You have to think of a way to get us out. I don't want to stay here any longer. Yu Manlin's eyes were filled with pleading. Her only hope was Lan Qingyan. Every time she heard Yu Xiqing's anguished wails, she couldn't help but tremble. This kind of psychological torture was enough to make her collapse. When Lan Jingquang heard Yu Manlin's words, Impatience appeared in his eyes. What's the point of saying these useless things? Qingyan, how did you get into the dungeon today? Did the family head and the rest make any moves? Father, I'm going to have a death match with Bailey Hongzhuang tomorrow. As soon as these words were spoken, Lan Jingquang and Yu Manlan were both stunned. Why? Bailey Hongzhuang said that as long as I defeat her, she will give up the family head position. As long as I become the family head, I will be able to get you out. Lan Qingyan's eyes shone brightly. This feeling of isolation and helplessness was too unbearable. Once Lan Jingquang and Yu Manlan regained their freedom, she wouldn't be in such a predicament. That's great. Yu Manlan couldn't help but clap. Lan Jingquang's eyes darkened. What will happen if you lose? If I hand over the rainbow pearl, I might lose my life. Lan Qingyan's voice also weakened a little. However, I don't think the clan head will allow such a thing to happen. You're thinking too simply. With Sita Yan and Mu Jin's here, it might happen. Lan Jingquang furrowed his brows. Qingyan, your mother and I are destined not to be able to leave this place. You don't have to worry about us. Just focus on your cultivation. When you're strong enough, it won't be too late to avenge us. Lan Qingyan stared blankly. With my current strength, as long as I go head-to-head with Bailey Hongzhuang, the possibility of winning is not small. If I give up just like that, then I'll really have nothing left. Listen to me, don't fight over anything now. Bailey Hongzhuang can swallow her anger and plan for revenge for so many years. You can do the same. After Lan Qingyan left the dungeon, Lan Jingquang's words kept echoing in her mind. After pondering for a long time, Lan Qingyan's eyes gradually turned resolute. She would not give up like this. Bailey Hongzhuang could wait for 19 years, but she couldn't. Chapter 2805. Early the next morning, the Lan clan members had already gathered near the life and death ring. This competition would affect the next patriarch of the Lan clan. Therefore, as long as there was nothing to do, all the Lan clan members had rushed over. When Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest arrived, everything was already prepared. Wife, the strength of a Purple Realm first level cannot be underestimated. Even if you have the blood aura field, it will still be difficult for you to reach the Purple Realm first level. Di Beichen's brows revealed a trace of worry. Ever since he broke through to the Purple Realm, he clearly understood the difference between the Blue Realm 9th level and the Purple Realm first level. Breaking through from the Blue Realm to the Purple Realm was known as the most difficult bottleneck. Once a breakthrough was made, the difference in strength would be far greater than any previous breakthrough. As the previous young master of the Lan clan, Lan Qingyan's strength could not be underestimated. Moreover, today was a battle with her back to the river. She would definitely use all her skills. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes darkened as she said, I understand, but this battle is imperative. She wanted to defeat Lan Qingyan personally in front of everyone, and take back everything that belonged to her. Looking at Bailey Hongzhuang's determined appearance, Di Beichen also nodded, I will always support you. Some obsessions could only be completely let go when they were done with their own hands. The reason why Bailey Hongzhuang wanted to do this was not only for herself, but also for the soul that had died tragically. If the real Lan Yixuan had not been treated so cruelly since young, she would not have endured so many years of humiliation and even died so quietly. Lan Qingyan also arrived at the life and death ring early. After seeing Bailey Hongzhuang, a sharp light flashed in her eyes. Bailey Hongzhuang did not back down. The two of them looked at each other with a distance of tens of meters between them. However, everyone present could feel the sparks between the two of them. As the time for the competition approached, Bailey Hongzhuang and Lan Qingyan walked up to the life and death ring at almost the same time. Today Lan Yixuan and Lan Qingyan are going to fight in the life and death arena. Life and death are up to fate. No one is allowed to interfere. Lan Borong's voice slowly rang out. When the Lan clan members heard that life and death were up to fate, they couldn't help but feel shocked. The elders of the Lan family looked at the two of them with complicated gazes. However, it was obvious that the two of them had already made up their minds. Even if they did not want to see this happen, there was no point in stopping them. The competition begins now. As Lan Borong's voice fell, he quickly withdrew from the martial arts stage, and Bailey Hongzhuang and Lan Qingyan also took up their stances in the first moment. The two of them each stood on one side of the stage as a cool breeze blew at their clothes. Their outstanding and somewhat similar faces were filled with ruthless coldness at this moment. They were never sisters, but enemies who were at loggerheads with each other. In the next instant, their yuan power gushed out from their bodies. Lan Qingyan's rainbow-colored yuan power surged out, revealing the aura of a first-level purple realm. Bailey Hongzhuang's body was also surrounded by rainbow-colored yuan power. The yuan power that was as bright as a galaxy was magnificent and enchanting, attracting the attention of everyone present. Is this the rainbow-colored yuan power after evolution? It is indeed different from the rest. Chapter 2806. Almost everyone couldn't help but be attracted by Bailey Hongzhuang's evolved rainbow essence energy. This was the first time the Lan clan's clansmen had seen the evolved rainbow essence energy. It was a completely different feeling from before. Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang had attracted everyone's attention, the jealousy in Lan Qingyan's heart grew stronger. All of these originally belonged to her. In the next moment, Lan Qingyan attacked Bailey Hongzhuang without hesitation. Today, she would personally take back the glory that belonged to her. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes turned cold. She quickly retreated and dodged Lan Qingyan's attack. The first time she fought with Lan Qingyan used a sneak attack. This woman would do anything to win. She wouldn't be at a disadvantage. At the same time, the blood aura field's ability exploded. A thick blood aura quietly spread out, and a blood pillar shot up to the sky. When Bailey Hongzhuang walked out of the blood pillar, her white dress had already turned into a bright red. Different from her usual indifference and elegance, the bright red color made Bailey Hongzhuang enchanting and charming. Her pair of blood-red eyes flashed with a demonic light. This is the blood aura field. Lan Hongtai looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in shock. This was the first time he saw Bailey Hongzhuang fight. It was also the first time he knew that Bailey Hongzhuang had obtained the inheritance of the blood aura field. The blood aura field was a rather mysterious inheritance in the Shangxian continent. Many people knew the power of the blood aura field. However, those who had obtained the inheritance of the blood aura field were few and far between. Lan Borong and the rest stared blankly at this scene. No wonder Second Miss was able to defeat eldest Mississippi. It turns out that she had the blood aura field to increase her strength. Ordinary martial arts techniques were often only suitable for a short period of time. As the cultivator's strength increased, many low-level martial arts techniques would no longer be able to perform well. However, the blood aura field was different. This was a mysterious and powerful inheritance. Even if the cultivator's strength increased, the blood aura field's increase would still be considerable. If the second young miss breaks through to the purple realm, then with the enhancement of this blood chi field, the first young miss won't be a match for the second young Mississippi. However, the second miss is currently stuck at the 9th level of the blue realm. There's a huge gap between her and the purple realm. Even with the blood aura's full boost, I'm afraid she won't be able to bridge this gap. Lan Borong couldn't help but sigh. If this life and death battle had been carried out a little later, then the outcome would have been determined without even having to fight. But now, even he was unable to determine the final outcome. Lan Qingyan nervously looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. She didn't know how much Bailey Hongzhuang's blood chi field amplified. She could only take a gamble. In the end, when she saw that Bailey Hongzhuang's aura had increased but had yet to reach the first level of the purple realm, Lan Qingyan couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief. Her lips curled into a smile. It looked like she would be able to reclaim the position of the patriarch very soon. You'll regret the stupid decision you've made. Lan Qingyan proudly looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. In her opinion, Bailey Hongzhuang thought too highly of herself. That was why she proposed a life and death battle. It was really stupid. Just don't cry when you lose. Hearing this, Lan Qingyan's expression changed. She once again took the initiative to attack. In the next second, Bailey Hongzhuang and Lan Qingyan were already engaged in a crazy battle in front of everyone's eyes. Bang bang bang. Chapter 2807. There was no probing between Bailey Hongzhuang and Lan Qingyan. Once they started fighting, their goal was to take each other's life. It could be said that they were extremely ruthless. In the process of this fight, Bailey Hongzhuang also discovered the difference between a level 9 blue realm and a level 1 purple realm. If it was a normal level, this difference was nothing. But now, when she was fighting with Lan Qingyan, she could still feel that her opponent's elemental energy was stronger than hers. After Lan Qingyan discovered that she had the upper hand, her attacks became more ruthless and merciless. The last time they fought, she lost because of Bailey Hongzhuang's 3 contracted beasts. This time, Bailey Hongzhuang and herself agreed to fight on the life and death arena. Contracted beasts were not included. It would be impossible for Bailey Hongzhuang to deal with her like before. Although she was at a disadvantage in terms of elemental energy, Bailey Hongzhuang was not in a hurry. She urged the rainbow elemental energy in her body. The evolved rainbow elemental energy also increased her strength to a certain extent. The effect was much stronger than ordinary elemental energy. Bang! After Bailey Hongzhuang and Lan Qingyan's palms collided, both of them took 2 steps back. Lan Qingyan's expression changed slightly. Logically speaking, her strength should be stronger than Bailey Hongzhuang. But this collision of strength was actually a draw. Could it be the evolved rainbow elemental energy was actually so strong? Lan Qingyan did not know that if she was not using rainbow elemental energy and not ordinary elemental energy, the difference would be even greater. Rainbow glazed pagoda. Lan Qingyan's hands flipped rapidly. The rainbow elemental energy in her body gushed out continuously, and a powerful aura spread out. An exquisite 7-colored pagoda appeared in Lan Qingyan's hands. It spun around and exuded an extremely powerful force. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the rainbow-glazed pagoda, and the expression in her eyes changed a little. With her eyesight, she could naturally see that this rainbow-glazed pagoda was not ordinary. The level of this martial skill was definitely not low. When Di Beichen and Mo Yunjua noticed the 7-colored glazed pagoda, they couldn't help but look at each other with worry in their eyes. The 7-colored glazed pagoda is a martial skill owned by the Lan family. Only the inheritor of the 7-colored sacred pearl can cultivate it. It is of an extremely high level, and is known as the secret skill of the Lan family. Lan Yunxiao's voice was deep. It had been too long since he had returned to the Lan clan. He had actually forgotten about this matter. Everyone's expression changed at Lan Yunxiao's words. Anything that could be called a clan's secret technique had to be extremely powerful. With Bailey Hongzhuang's current status, it would not be a problem for her to cultivate the 7-colored glazed pagoda. However, too many things had happened in the past 2 days, so no one had thought about this. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's expression change, Lan Qingyan mocked, "Didn't you want to take back the rainbow pearl? I'll use the rainbow pearl to send you to hell right now." In the next moment, in Bailey Hongzhuang's vision, the 7-colored glazed pagoda enlarged by 10 times and turned into a real pagoda. It mercilessly pressed down on Bailey Hongzhuang. As the 7-colored glazed pagoda approached, everyone could clearly feel the changes in their surroundings. It was as if a huge mountain was pressing down on Bailey Hongzhuang. Chapter 2808. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the 7-colored glazed pagoda that was getting closer and closer to her. Her eyes flashed with a hint of seriousness. She was almost certain that this 7-colored glazed pagoda was between a mid-grade and high-grade Earth-class martial skill. It was only 1 step away from a true high-grade Earth-class martial skill. In the Shangxian continent, Heaven-class martial skills were the stuff of legends. Earth-class martial skills were already extremely impressive. Even in the entire Shangxian continent, high-grade Earth-class martial skills were extremely rare. With Lan Qingyan's strength at the first level of the Purple Realm, the power of this martial skill could be imagined. If she was not careful, she could really lose her life. Lan Hongtai and the rest were also worried. They did not expect Lan Qingyan to use her trump card so quickly. They were afraid that her hatred for Bailey Hongzhuang had reached a certain level. They had already quietly moved forward. Once Bailey Hongzhuang was in danger, they would not hesitate to make a move. Bailey Hongzhuang was definitely not a loss to the entire Lan family. In the next moment, the energy in Bailey Hongzhuang's body surged out crazily. Both of her hands were constantly forming hand seals. The speed was so fast that it was dazzling. Originally, everyone was extremely worried. But as Bailey Hongzhuang's hand gradually condensed, their expressions changed a bit. This was because they could feel that the aura emitted from Bailey Hongzhuang's body had become extremely terrifying as it continued to rise. Bailey Hongzhuang's phoenix eyes stared at Lan Qingyan. A cold and deep light flashed across her eyes. Since Lan Qingyan wanted to take her life the moment she stepped on the stage, then she might as well be straightforward. At most, she would just fight head-on. Sky water curtain. Bailey Hongzhuang snorted coldly, and her seven-colored spiritual energy instantly spread to the sky behind her. Countless water vapor lingered, and the entire Lan family was shrouded in moisture. Everyone looked at Bailey Hongzhuang in astonishment. She had clearly conjured an ocean. However, the ocean that Bailey Hongzhuang conjured was not an ordinary blue. Instead, it was rainbow-colored with specks of golden light. It was extremely dazzling. A powerful aura erupted from the water curtain and immediately met Lan Qingyan's seven-colored glazed pagoda. After seeing Bailey Hongzhuang execute this move, Lan Qingyan's face revealed a hint of surprise. However, the confidence in her eyes did not change. Bailey Hongzhuang. The seven-colored glazed pagoda is the Lan family's secret technique. Its level and power far surpasses ordinary martial skills. Although this move of yours is very powerful, there is still a gap between it and mine. The smile on Lan Qingyan's sinister eyes, and her eyes became more and more. And Lan Qingyan's S. Were Lan Qingyan's Hongzhuang, Lan Hongzhuang's, and she. Although Hongzhuang's move is powerful, it is still lacking when compared to the Lan family's secret technique. Mo Yunjue frowned. They did not expect Lan Qingyan to have such a trump card. If Lan Qingyan had used this move during the Battle of Zhuolu, then it would be troublesome. Hongzhuang's martial skills are also powerful. However, her cultivation is slightly weaker than Lan Qingyan's. The gap between the blue realm and the purple realm is too big. Di Beichen's face did not look good. Bailey Hongzhuang was at a disadvantage because of this. Bang! Chapter 2809. An unusually ferocious wave of elemental energy erupted. The energy ripples scattered in all directions, causing ripples to appear on the protective shield, as if it could shatter at any time. This protective shield was specially added by the Lan family's elders today because they knew that Bailey Hongzhuang and Lan Qingyan's strength were not weak. However, it seemed that they had underestimated them. Two resplendent rainbow-colored lights met in the air. The seven-colored glazed pagoda continued to press downwards, trying to crush Bailey Hongzhuang. However, the skyflower water curtain continued to support her, blocking the seven-colored glazed pagoda's gravity. During this confrontation, the lights kept bursting out, but in the eyes of the audience, they were like dazzling fireworks. Lan Qingyan and Bailey Hongzhuang's expressions were very solemn. Today their goal was to kill each other. Boom boom boom. The energy waves were extremely ferocious. The two terrifying attacks eventually turned into dazzling fireworks and dissipated. Bailey Hongzhuang's figure retreated several steps in a row, each step leaving a very deep footprint on the ground, and cracks appeared around the footprints. Just from this point, everyone could see how much pressure Bailey Hongzhuang was under. Everyone's gaze fell on Bailey Hongzhuang. Obviously, in the previous confrontation, Bailey Hongzhuang was at a disadvantage. The seven-colored glazed pagoda was the martial technique that the Lan family was proud of. Bailey Hongzhuang's cultivation was not as good as Lan Qingyan's, and it was already very impressive that she could hold on. If it was an ordinary Blue Realm level 9 cultivator, they would have already lost the ability to continue fighting. Suddenly, Bailey Hongzhuang groaned, and a trace of blood flowed out from the corner of her mouth. The thick smell of blood spread in her mouth. Bailey Hongzhuang suppressed it, but her eyes became sharper. Lan Qingyan looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with an ashen face. According to her judgment, Bailey Hongzhuang should have been killed by her attack. She didn't expect that Bailey Hongzhuang only suffered some injuries. This situation was far from what she had imagined. However, being able to severely injure Bailey Hongzhuang was something worth celebrating for Lan Qingyan. Bailey Hongzhuang, the reason why you were able to injure me during the Battle of Zhuelu was because you underestimated yourself and your contracted beast. However, my true strength is far from as simple as you think. Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes were indifferent. She wiped the blood from the corner of her lips and said, "This 7-colored glazed pagoda is probably your strongest move, right?" Once these words came out, Lan Qingyan's expression couldn't help but change a bit, revealing a bit of unsightly. Bailey Hongzhuang was right. The 7-colored glazed pagoda was indeed her trump card. She was unable to use any stronger martial skills. So what? Lan Qingyan's eyes gradually became firm. This is the strongest martial skill I can use. Isn't what you're using your strongest martial skill as well? As long as I use it a few more times, you will eventually be defeated by me. My honor will definitely not be taken away by you. Master, this Lan Qingyan is too hateful. Why don't you let us join in? Xiao He couldn't stand it anymore. No matter what, they couldn't give Lan Qingyan a chance to turn the tables today. Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head. This is a battle between me and her. No one will know the final result until the last moment. Chapter 28:10. Let's try it then. Bailey Hongzhuang's voice was cold. Even though she was at a disadvantage, her aura did not diminish at all. Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang was still so stubborn, Lan Qingyan's gaze turned cold. She wanted to see how long Bailey Hongzhuang could continue to be so stubborn. Even though using the 7-colored glazed pagoda consumed a lot of energy, her cultivation had reached level 1 of the Purple Realm. The energy stored in her body was much more than before. On the other hand, Bailey Hongzhuang was only level 9 of the Blue Realm. The amount of energy stored in her body could not be compared to Lan Qingyan's. Bailey Hongzhuang's defeat in her hands could be said to be a nail in the coffin. 7-colored glazed pagoda. In the next moment, Lan Qingyan used the 7-colored glazed pagoda again. The spinning 7-colored glazed pagoda emitted a terrifying energy and attacked Bailey Hongzhuang once again. Sky Water Curtain. Bailey Hongzhuang's movements were not slow either. She used the same martial skill to counter the attack. Seeing this scene, the crowd was puzzled. The previous collision had already proved that the power of the Sky Water Curtain could not be compared to the 7-colored glazed pagoda. Now that they were clashing again, wasn't it destined that Bailey Hongzhuang's injuries would worsen? Those who knew Bailey Hongzhuang could not help but frown. Logically speaking, Bailey Hongzhuang would not do such a useless thing. Bang! Dazzling and resplendent fireworks bloomed once again, followed by a terrifying energy storm. Kacha kacha. The sound of cracks forming could be heard from the sturdy arena floor. It was as if it was cracking inch by inch. Just like the first time, the Sky Water Curtain held on for a long time. In the end, it could not withstand the massive energy of the 7-colored glazed pagoda. After the heavenly water curtain dissipated, the 7-colored glazed pagoda's shape had also weakened significantly. However, if a portion of its power landed on Bailey Hongzhuang would definitely suffer as well. Just as the Skyflower water curtain disappeared, everyone was shocked to find that a white lotus had appeared in the middle of the water curtain. This white lotus was extremely small. If one didn't look carefully, they wouldn't even notice its existence. However, when the white lotus came into contact with the 7-colored glazed pagoda, everyone was shocked to find that the remaining energy in the 7-colored glazed pagoda seemed to have exploded. In an instant, it turned into bright light and disappeared into nothingness. Lan Qingyan, who was originally confident of victory, had a change in her expression. She retreated a few steps. Everyone was stunned when they saw this. No one had noticed when Bailey Hongzhuang had added the white lotus into the water curtain sky flower. Who would have thought that it would produce such an unexpected effect? I see. Di Beichen's face revealed a look of realization. He immediately recognized that the white lotus was formed by the mysterious ice fire. I was wondering why Hongzhuang would use the same move twice even though she knew that she would lose. Turns out that there was such a change in her moves. Mo Yunjue's eyes lit up. This seemingly small change had allowed Bailey Hongzhuang, who was originally at a disadvantage, to be evenly matched with Lan Qingyan. Bailey Hongzhuang and Lan Qingyan spat out a mouthful of blood at almost the same time. Their auras became weaker. Chapter 28:11. It seems that I have underestimated you. Lan Qingyan's expression was extremely ugly, and the words came out from between her teeth. She thought that the advantage was already in her hands, but she didn't expect Bailey Hongzhuang to have such a variable. The most hateful thing was that she didn't see through it and fell for it instead. Looking at Lan Qingyan's angry appearance, Bailey Hongzhuang still had a look of contempt and indifference. With Lan Qingyan's impetuous character, it was normal for her to suffer such a loss. This time I won't let you take advantage of me. Lan Qingyan's expression was cold. Now that she finally had the upper hand, she wanted to use this opportunity to attack Bailey Hongzhuang in front of all the clan members. She didn't expect Bailey Hongzhuang to find such a point to restrict her. She couldn't continue like this. She had to defeat Bailey Hongzhuang with an absolute advantage. 7-colored glazed pagoda. The origin energy in Lan Qingyan's body circulated crazily, and the third 7-colored glazed pagoda appeared. However, her offensive didn't end like this. She wanted to kill Bailey Hongzhuang in an unstoppable manner. Holy Land Demonic Palm. The second martial skill followed closely behind the 7-colored glazed pagoda. Although its power was slightly weakened, it was still impossible to ignore. Just when everyone thought that Lan Qingyan's attack had ended, her hand seals condensed again. Thousand Lightning Strike. Following the appearance of these 3 attacks, everyone's expression changed. These 3 attacks were all Earth-rank martial skills, and when Lan Qingyan, who was at the Purple Realm first level, executed them, the power was abnormally shocking. Di Beichen and the rest couldn't help but look at Bailey Hongzhuang worriedly. Lan Qingyan could be considered to have used all of her strength at this moment. The Lan family's foundation was so strong that the power of these martial skills was bound to be shocking. If an ordinary Blue Realm 9th level cultivator encountered such an attack, only death would await them. Mu Lingbing couldn't help but clench her fists. Deep worry emerged in the depths of her eyes. She prayed in her heart, nothing must happen to her. After Lan Qingyan executed her move, Bailey Hongzhuang also quickly executed her martial skill. Sky Water Curtain. Fire Sea Burial. Sky Demon Lotus. 3 attacks quickly formed in Bailey Hongzhuang's hands. The 7-colored Sky Water Curtain shone brilliantly, while the Fire Sea Burial was a dazzling red. The Rolling Heatwave and the Water Curtain Heaven Flower were 2 completely different attributes, but at this moment when Bailey Hongzhuang used it, there was not the slightest bit of resistance. However, when he saw the Sky Demon Lotus, Di Beichen's eyes, Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes. He had seen Bailey Hongzhuang execute the Sky Demon Lotus before, but at that time the Sky Demon Lotus was black. At this moment Bailey Hongzhuang's Sky Demon Lotus was white, and even carried a faint chill. Could it be? This Sky Demon Lotus was formed by the ice-cold fire? Di Beichen's heart skipped a beat, and he quickly guessed the general idea in his mind. At this time, no one paid close attention to the wonders of each martial skill. They only saw the 3 attacks colliding together one after another. Chapter 28:12. Boom! 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 Loud noises reverberated and the ground began to tremble. Even through the protective barrier, everyone could feel the terrifying power. It was as if an earthquake had occurred. causing everyone to feel extremely uneasy. In a short period of time, the entire martial arts stage had turned into ruins. Only the protective barrier remained. Whether it was Bailey Hongzhuang or Lan Qingyan, they were both the top figures of the younger generation in the Shangxian continent. The power that erupted from their full strength was naturally terrifying. If there was no protective barrier to prevent the power from leaking out, the entire Lan residence would have been destroyed. Smoke and dust rose from all directions. The originally clear line of sight was obstructed just like that. It was impossible to see the situation inside. Lan Hongtai and the rest's faces became solemn. Under the isolation of the protective barrier, even they were unable to determine the real situation inside the martial arts stage. It was probably too late to stop it now. Everything depended on Bailey Hongzhuang and Lan Qingyan's luck. However, with their rich battle experience, they all understood that with Bailey Hongzhuang's cultivation, the power that erupted just now was already extremely powerful. If it was not Bailey Hongzhuang, any other Blue Realm 9th level cultivator would only have a dead end under such circumstances. However, they also knew that Lan Qingyan's power was still a little stronger. The gap between the Purple Realm was really too big. As the smoke and dust gradually dissipated, a ruined martial arts stage appeared in everyone's line of sight. Everyone could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. Their faces were full of shock. Lan Qingyan's white dress was now covered in dust. Even her beautiful face was unavoidably stained with dust. She was in a sorry state. Specks of blood appeared on her clothes. Although her face was pale, there was a trace of a smile on her lips. This was because in Lan Qingyan's line of sight, she did not see Bailey Hongzhuang's existence at all. Obviously, Bailey Hongzhuang was crushed under the ruins. Ha ha. Ha ha ha. Lan Qingyan could not help but laugh. There was a bit of madness in her laughter, but more than that it was joy. In the end she won the bet. Bailey Hongzhuang had overestimated herself. She thought that she could defeat her, but now she was suffering the consequences of her own actions. Bailey Hongzhuang, from now on, I am the true successor of the Lan family. You're nothing more than a short-lived blocking stone. When everyone saw this scene, their expressions changed abruptly. Their gazes constantly searched for Bailey Hongzhuang among the rubble, hoping to find her figure. However, the shattered stage had already turned into ruins. Once Bailey Hongzhuang was buried deep within, no one would be able to discover her. The strongest person is still the first miss. The first miss has successfully broken through to the Purple Realm. If the second miss is also a Purple Realm expert, then the situation will be completely different. What should we do now? Will eldest miss really become the next patriarch? The members of the Lan family looked at each other. Although Bailey Hongzhuang had only been in the Lan family for a short period of time, everyone had already determined that Bailey Hongzhuang would be the next patriarch of the Lan family. Now that this kind of situation had suddenly occurred, they did not know what to do. Lan Yunxiao and the rest looked at this scene and fell into silence. However, they mostly did not believe it. Chapter 28:13. Yun Xiao. Mu Lingbing couldn't help but look at Lan Yunxiao with resentment in her clear eyes. Yesterday she wanted to stop all of this from happening, but Lan Yunxiao didn't allow her to. If something really happened to Bailey Hongzhuang, she definitely wouldn't forgive Lan Yunxiao. Lan Yunxiao's brows were tightly knitted. He felt that Bailey Hongzhuang must have her own ideas when she suggested this. However, the current situation was truly out of her expectations. Let's wait a little longer. What are we waiting for? Let's take advantage of this opportunity to find Yishuan. Perhaps we still have a chance of survival. Mu Lingbing couldn't help but feel anxious. She only had one daughter and they finally reunited after so many years. She absolutely couldn't accept losing Bailey Hongzhuang. If we go in now, then Hongzhuang is destined to lose. Mo Yunjua's expression was complicated. He had an indescribable trust in Bailey Hongzhuang. Even though Bailey Hongzhuang was at a disadvantage in the previous competition, he still didn't think that the situation would be that bad. He and Bailey Hongzhuang had participated in the competition together, so he was very clear about Bailey Hongzhuang's abilities. There was something fishy about today's situation. At this time Di Beichen spoke up. Uncle Aunt, don't be impatient. Hong Zhuang will be fine. Others didn't understand Bailey Hong Zhuang's methods, but Di Beichen was very clear about them. Just the existence of the chaos ring meant that Bailey Hong Zhuang wouldn't easily fall. Moreover, if it really came to that kind of dangerous moment, the three contracted beasts wouldn't be able to resist taking action. The reason why there wasn't any movement now must be because Bailey Hong Zhuang wasn't truly in danger. Hearing Di Beichen's confident words, Mu Lingbing nodded hesitantly. She was very clear about Di Beichen's feelings for Bailey Hong Zhuang. If something really happened to Bailey Hong Zhuang, the first person who couldn't hold back would be Di Beichen. Lan Hongtai and the rest also heard Di Beichen's words, so they all remained silent for a moment, waiting to see if there would be any other unforeseen events. After laughing complacently for a while, Lan Qingyan looked below the stage. Seeing Mu Lingbing's group's fervent expressions and not giving up hope, she only found it incomparably funny. The situation had already developed to this point. Could it be that Bailey Hong Zhuang could still salvage the situation? But since Mu's groups, she naturally wasn't in a hurry. She was afraid that Mu Lingbing's group would rescue Bailey Hong Zhuang and immediately treat her. If Bailey Hong Zhuang survived, it would be extremely disadvantageous for her. On the other hand, Bailey Hong Zhuang was now seriously injured. If she delayed any longer, Bailey Hong Zhuang's chances of survival would be even lower. Why would she mind waiting here for a while longer? The atmosphere suddenly became strange. The Lan clan members looked suspiciously at Lan Hongtai and the rest who were quietly sitting on the stage and Lan Qingyan who was calm and composed on the stage. They didn't understand the situation before them, but since even the master didn't say anything, they could only continue to watch. After a while, Lan Qingyan was the first to lose her patience and said, "Master, can we now announce the results of this competition?" Lan Hongtai frowned slightly, his eyes flashing with a complicated look. He also didn't know what Bailey Hong Zhuang was planning. Chapter 28:14. This is. Lan Hongtai sensed this aura in astonishment. Yixuan is breaking through? Lan Borong's expression was also a bit stiff, but he nodded hesitantly. It seems so. Due to Bailey Hong Zhuang's lack of movement, Di Beichen and the others' expressions gradually became a bit strange. After sensing this aura, they all revealed relieved smiles. As expected, Hong Zhuang has her own plans. Mo Yunjue's handsome face revealed a trace of a smile. Previously, there had been no movement for so long that even he couldn't help but feel anxious. Fortunately, the situation was developing in a good direction. Hong Zhuang is probably doing this on purpose. She wants to use this opportunity to break through to the purple realm. Di Beichen's eyes narrowed slightly as a wisp of wisdom quietly flashed through them. Breaking through to the purple realm wasn't an easy task. Although Bailey Hong Zhuang had previously sensed that she wasn't far from breaking through to the purple realm, she hadn't been able to successfully break through until now. Battles were often the best way to promote a cultivator's breakthrough. In the entire Lan family, there was probably no other suitable person other than Lan Qingyan who could promote Bailey Hong Zhuang the best. If Di Beichen had previously felt that there was something fishy about this matter, and didn't understand some things, now he completely understood. Lan Yunxiao and Mu Lingbing both let out a sigh of relief. They could clearly sense that Bailey Hong Zhuang's aura was breaking through from the blue realm to the purple realm. Once the breakthrough was successful, Lan Qingyan wouldn't be Bailey Hong Zhuang's opponent at all. The moment she sensed Bailey Hong Zhuang's aura, Lan Qingyan's smile froze. She had clearly obtained victory, but she didn't expect such an unforeseen event to occur at such a crucial moment. Bailey Hong Zhuang broke through? She actually broke through in the middle of the battle. His body stiffened bit by bit. The reason why she was able to gain the upper hand was because she had broken through to the first level of the purple realm. If Bailey Hong Zhuang's cultivation was the same as hers, then all of her advantages would disappear. She thought that Bailey Hong Zhuang was dead for sure. Even though her internal injuries were not light, she did not care too much, because she had taken care of her most important opponent. But what should he do now? Just when Lan Qingyan was hesitating and not knowing what to do, Bailey Hongzhuang's voice suddenly sounded. Isn't it a little too early to be happy about the outcome of the battle? The next moment, rubble flew everywhere as Bailey Hongzhuang leaped out from the rubble. Her delicate and beautiful face was no longer pale. Instead, it was rosy like a peach blossom. Her original injuries had completely disappeared after she broke through to the Purple Realm. She had originally intended to use this opportunity to make a breakthrough today. Only when she had also reached the Purple Realm would the competition between the two of them be truly fair. Lan Qingyan looked at Bailey Hongzhuang across from her, and her body couldn't help but tremble. Only one sentence kept appearing in her mind. What should I do now? What should I do? When the Lan clan members saw that Bailey Hongzhuang had broken through to the Blue Realm at such a crucial moment, they were also stunned. This reversal of the situation was beyond everyone's expectations. However, at this moment, everyone understood that Bailey Hongzhuang was destined to be the next Lan clan head. Chapter 28:15. I let you fight to your heart's content just now. Now it's my turn, right? Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into a faint smile. Her posture was wanton, but her eyes were cold. Breaking through to the Purple Realm was indeed not an easy task. Even though she felt that she was getting closer and closer to breaking through to the Purple Realm, there was still a gap. Her previous fight with Lan Qingyan was also to stimulate her own potential and smoothly break through to the Purple Realm. Lan Qingyan looked at the smiling Bailey Hongzhuang in front of her and couldn't help but tremble. She never thought that Bailey Hongzhuang could break through so quickly. In comparison, Bailey Hongzhuang was younger than her by 3 years, but her cultivation had reached the same realm as her. In addition to her medical and poison skills, and the evolved Rainbow Pearl, was she really that much worse than Bailey Hongzhuang? At this moment, Lan Qingyan's confidence took a hit. This hit was harder for her to bear than her position as the clan head being snatched away. Skyflower Water Curtain. Bailey Hongzhuang didn't care about Lan Qingyan's thoughts. She wanted to take back what belonged to her today. The same move, when used by Bailey Hongzhuang after breaking through to the Purple Realm, had a completely different effect. Everyone was shocked to find that the Heavenly Flower Water Curtain was a whole generation bigger than before. The entire Lan family was covered in water vapor. Just feeling the power made everyone tremble uncontrollably. Bailey Hongzhuang's originally depleted origin power had been completely restored after the breakthrough. At this moment, the eruption was also very shocking. Lan Qingyan also immediately used a martial technique to resist. However, her strength couldn't compare to Bailey Hongzhuang. Now that she had lost confidence in herself, what else could she use to resist Bailey Hongzhuang? At this moment, Lan Qingyan could only shout, "Save me!" Facing Bailey Hongzhuang's attack, she already had no hope, but she didn't want to die like this. Lan Borong and the others frowned. All these years, they had watched Lan Qingyan grow up and become the pride of the Lan family. They never thought that she would end up like this. Si Tu-yen and Mu Jinsei were already standing near the stage. Although they didn't say anything, their attitude was very clear. That was, no one should even think about saving Lan Qingyan. The entire martial arts stage was covered by the 7-colored light. Everyone could only see the dazzling light, but they couldn't see what was happening inside. Bailey Hongzhuang had done this on purpose. Lan Qingyan had already fallen to the ground after being severely injured. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang approaching her step by step, the fear on her face intensified. Bailey Hongzhuang, no matter what, I'm still your sister. Do you really want to risk universal condemnation? Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang sneered. Weren't you very proud of killing me just now? Now you're saying this to me. Don't you think it's funny? Her ink-black phoenix eyes bloomed with a cold light. Between the two of them, there wasn't any kinship. In fact, they couldn't wait for the other to die. When Lan Jingquang did all those things, he had already severed all ties with his family. What do you want to do? Lan Qingyan propped herself up and crawled back step by step. Patriarch and the others won't allow you to do this. Chapter 28:16. Lan Hongtai looked at the battle stage that was completely enveloped by the rainbow energy. Under Bailey Hongzhuang's control, not even the sound from inside could be heard. Obviously, Bailey Hongzhuang and Lan Qingyan had their own accounts to settle. At this point, Lan Hongtai and the others had already seen through the situation. The matter between the two juniors should be settled by themselves. It was meaningless for them to intervene. On the contrary, it might even cause the two to be dissatisfied with each other. Whether it was right or wrong, it was up to them to decide. When Bailey Hongzhuang withdrew the rainbow light, the crowd could see everything on the battle stage clearly. In their line of sight, Bailey Hongzhuang's white robe was pure and untainted. Although it was stained with some dust, it could not hide her stunning appearance and magnificence. The crowd's eyes sized up Bailey Hongzhuang's face for a moment before shifting to Bailey Hongzhuang's hand. In her hand there was a rainbow bead that was emitting a bright light. Seeing this scene, the crowd could not help but suck in a breath of cold air. Their faces were filled with horror. Obviously, this rainbow sacred bead could not belong to Bailey Hongzhuang. It could only belong to Lan Qingyan. So, Bailey Hongzhuang really took out the rainbow sacred bead from Lan Qingyan's body? Lan Hongtai and the rest also narrowed their eyes. Bailey Hongzhuang really did what she said. She said she would take out the rainbow sacred bead, and she really did it. Behind Bailey Hongzhuang, Lan Qingyan had fallen to the ground forever. There was no possibility of her standing up again. Until the moment before her death, Lan Qingyan regretted that she did not listen to Lan Jingquang's words. If she could endure it, at least she would still be alive. Unfortunately, all of this regret could only be brought to the Yellow Springs. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at Lan Borong with a faint smile on her face and said, "Great Elder, this death match has ended." Lan Borong was stunned for a moment before he quickly nodded. The winner is Lan Yixuan. The crowd was in an uproar. No one went to check on Lan Qingyan's condition because they had already sensed that Lan Qingyan's aura had already dissipated. Even though they had expected this to happen, when it really happened, they still couldn't come to their senses. Could anyone blame Bailey Hongzhuang? No. None of them would be able to accept the grudge from that year. Moreover, Lan Qingyan had always been proud of killing Bailey Hongzhuang. Therefore, no matter what the final result was, everyone could only choose to accept it. After Bailey Hongzhuang walked down from the stage, Di Beichen and the others quickly went up to greet her with joyful smiles on their faces. "Hongzhuang, you really gave us a fright just now." Mu Lingbing chuckled. She was finally able to relax. "Mother, I've made you worry. It's good that it's over. Now we don't have to worry anymore." Mu Lingbing was extremely relaxed. Whether it was Lan Yunxiao or Bailey Hongzhuang, they had already accomplished what they wanted to do. After so many years of grudge, they had finally gotten their revenge. Lan Yunxiao nodded at Lan Hongtai before returning to his residence with Bailey Hongzhuang and the rest. As for the rest, they would leave it to the house head and the various elders to deal with. Chapter 28:17. Jingquang, what are you thinking about? Yu Manlan couldn't help but ask when she saw Lan Jingquang's worried expression. I'm wondering if Qingyan listened to me and chose to give up on today's death match. Yu Manlan frowned. If Qingyan gives up today, then we'll be finished for the rest of our days. You're wrong. If Qingyan accepts, then we'll be finished for the rest of our days. Lan Jingquang shook his head. Why? Yu Manlan didn't understand. With Qingyan's strength, I don't think she'll lose against Bailey Hongzhuang. In my opinion, it's better to have a head-on battle. Once Qingyan wins, we'll be able to turn defeat into victory. You still don't understand. Whether it's strength or personality, Qingyan can't compare to Bailey Hongzhuang. Since Bailey Hongzhuang dared to propose a death match, it proves that she has the confidence to win. Once Qingyan agrees, she'll fall into Bailey Hongzhuang's trap. Lan Jingquang's eyes were deep. He never felt that he was weaker than Lan Yunxiao, but when it came to Lan Qingyan and Bailey Hongzhuang, he couldn't deny that Bailey Hongzhuang was better than Lan Qingyan. This child's will was so steady that it was terrifying. She had single-handedly orchestrated such a good show. If it was an ordinary person, it would be hard to imagine. You're underestimating Qingyan too much. I think Qingyan is the most powerful. Yu Manlan didn't care. In her heart, no one could compare to Lan Qingyan. However, at this moment, a cold voice slowly came from the front of the prison. You Manlan. This time your beautiful dream will be completely shattered. Hearing this, Yu Manlan's gaze froze. She hurriedly looked at the entrance of the prison and saw Mu Lingbing slowly walking over. The moment Mu Lingbing appeared, Yu Manlan's expression instantly darkened. Mu Lingbing, what are you doing here? The person Yu Manlan didn't want to see the most was Mu Lingbing. She had lost too thoroughly. All these years, every time you went to the Yu clan's prison to see me, why didn't you ask yourself what you were doing? Seeing Yu Manlan again, the coldness in Mu Lingbing's eyes didn't lessen. Yu Manlan's words were stuck in her throat. She could only stare coldly at Mu Lingbing. Compared to the arrogance she had felt in the past 19 years, the feeling now was extremely unbearable. What did you mean by that? Lan Jing stared at Mu Lingbing, his eyes wild with rage. Mu Lingbing glanced at Lan Jingquang. Lan Qingyan is already dead, so you don't have to hold on to any hope. As soon as these words were spoken, Lan Jingquang and Yu Manlan were both stunned. Their faces were filled with disbelief. That's impossible. Yu Manlan screamed. You're talking nonsense. Could it be that she participated in the death match? Lan Jingquang frowned. Though he was shocked, he did not lose his composure. Looks like you already know. Even if Qingyan participated in the death match, she would never lose to Bailey Hongzhuang. Yu Manlan's eyes flashed red, and her heart couldn't help but tremble. She absolutely couldn't believe that all of this was real. It looks like you still don't have a proper understanding of your daughter's strength. Seeing Yu Manlan's hysterical appearance, Mu Lingbing's lips slowly curved into a smile. Chapter 28:18. Are you telling the truth? Lan Jingquang asked in a low voice. Mu Lingbing didn't find it strange that Lan Jingquang and Yu Manlan were so suspicious. However, what she took out in the next second caused their expressions to change. The item in Mu Lingbing's hand was the rainbow pearl. Both Lan Jingquang and Yu Manlan were familiar with the appearance of the rainbow pearl. When Yu Xiqing had taken the rainbow pearl out of Bailey Hongzhuang's body, they had seen it before. However, the rainbow pearl in Mu Lingbing's hand was much larger than the one they had seen at that time. If they had doubted Mu Lingbing's words before, now that they had seen the evidence, they knew that it was the truth. How could this be? Yu Manlan murmured. She couldn't help but take 2 steps back and sit on the ground with a thud. Qingyan is dead. Qingyan is dead. Tears flowed from Yu Manlan's eyes. She sat there in a daze as if she had lost her soul. Her face was pale. She had never thought that her only daughter would die like this. Lan Jingquang's expression was also extremely ugly. He didn't think that after all his advice yesterday, Lan Qingyan still wouldn't listen to him in the end. I came here to tell you not to have any more hope. What you will face next will be revenge for all the pain you have suffered for the past 19 years. With that, Mu Lingbing turned and left the dungeon. Seeing the tears on the 2's faces, she had already achieved her goal. Master, congratulations on breaking through to the Purple Realm. The 3 beasts stood in a row in front of Bailey Hongzhuang, their faces full of smiles. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled and patted the heads of the 3 beasts. Today's harvest was not bad. This trip to the Lan family had been much simpler than she had imagined. It was all because Lan Hongtai's heart had always been on their side. Otherwise, the situation would have been much more complicated. Master, no matter what, Lan Qingyan is still your elder sister. If you take her life like this, won't it be detrimental to your reputation if word gets out? Xiao Bai asked somewhat worriedly. It could feel that the way the members of the Lan family looked at Bailey Hongzhuang had changed. There was a complicated and helpless look in their eyes. If you don't remove the roots when cutting weeds, they'll grow again when the spring breeze blows. I won't make the same mistake again. Bailey Hongzhuang's gaze was resolute. Lan Jingquang's men had ended up like this because of a moment of carelessness. Even though she didn't believe that Lan Qingyan had such capabilities, but no matter what, she wasn't willing to put her parents and the people who loved her in danger. So this was the only way. Right now, everyone's reaction is only temporary. People are forgetful. After a while, all these discussions will completely disappear. Bailey Hongzhuang appeared to be very calm. These verbal attacks were of no threat to her. Moreover, after the person involved knew about the grudges that had happened all these years, no one could blame her. Seeing that Bailey Hongzhuang was unmoved, the three beasts heaved a sigh of relief. They were worried that Bailey Hongzhuang would care about these things. Then what does Master plan to do with the rainbow pearl? Chapter 28:19. Bailey Hongzhuang fell into deep thought. With her master's hatred for the Lan family, it was impossible for him to take back the rainbow sacred pearl. Then there was only one person left who was most suitable to absorb the rainbow sacred pearl, and that was her father Lan Yunxiao. Although Lan Yunxiao wasn't the inheritor of the rainbow sacred pearl, he was still extremely powerful. If he could successfully absorb the rainbow sacred pearl, then he would be fully deserving of being the head of the Lan family. Bailey Hongzhuang didn't feel much about the Lan family. After all, she didn't have any memories of them after all these years. But Lan Yunxiao was different. He had grown up in the Lan family since he was young, so he had too much attachment and responsibility for the family. Moreover, Lan Yunxiao's reputation in the Lan family far exceeded that of ordinary people. Although it would be many years before Lan Yunxiao would become the head of the family, with his current state, he was undoubtedly the most suitable candidate. It looks like I need to have a talk with my father tonight, Bailey Hongzhuang slowly said. The three beasties revealed a trace of a smile. It looked like their master had the same thoughts as them. That night, Lan Yunxiao, Mu Lingbing, and Bailey Hongzhuang gathered together. Now that all of the Lan clan's troubles had been resolved, the three of them felt a wave of relief in their hearts. They were also happy and harmonious when they gathered together. You're saying that you can merge the rainbow sacred pearl into my body? Shock surfaced on Lan Yunxiao's face. Although he already knew that the rainbow sacred pearl in Bailey Hongzhuang's body belonged to Yu Linfeng, he didn't know the process behind it. Now that Bailey Hongzhuang mentioned it, he only felt extremely shocked. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. However, merging with the rainbow sacred pearl requires great pain. Most people wouldn't be able to endure it. I heard from Linfeng that you were able to merge with the rainbow sacred pearl because you were the inheritor of the rainbow sacred pearl, but I wasn't. Lan Yunxiao furrowed his brows. Although this news made him jump for joy, the process of implementing it was extremely difficult. Bailey Hongzhuang shook her head and said, Lan Qingyan is also not the successor of the rainbow pearl, but didn't she also merge with the rainbow pearl? Lan Yunxiao and Mu Lingbing couldn't help but look at each other. They had forgotten this point. The method Lan Qingyan used to fuse with the rainbow pearl seems to be different? Mu Lingbing asked. Indeed, the method that Lan Jingquang and the others used was very risky. If Lan Qingyan was unable to successfully merge with the rainbow divine pearl, then she could have paid the price with her life. However, Lan Qingyan was very young at that time, and her body's tolerance was very strong. That's why she was able to withstand it. Chapter 28:20. Bailey Hongzhuang herself was an outstanding divine doctor. Her knowledge in this field far exceeded the understanding of ordinary people. Yu Linfeng was indeed a genius. That was how he was able to discover the method to fuse the rainbow pearl. Bailey Hongzhuang was able to build on Yu Linfeng's foundation and go even deeper. Hongzhuang, are you really confident in this? Mu Lingbing stared at Bailey Hongzhuang. She had always trusted Bailey Hongzhuang, but this matter concerned Lan Yunxiao's life, so she couldn't help but worry. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded. This matter concerns father's safety. If I didn't have enough confidence, why would I bring it up? With Bailey Hongzhuang's words, the worry in Mu Lingbing and Lan Yunxiao's hearts completely dissipated. Geniuses couldn't be measured by common sense. Hongzhuang, actually, it's a good thing for you to succeed as the Lan family's head. Lan Yunxiao looked at Bailey Hongzhuang. To him, as long as Bailey Hongzhuang became the Lan family's head, it was the same as him becoming the Lan family's head. After all these years of experience, he had long become indifferent to such matters. In his eyes, all of this originally belonged to Bailey Hongzhuang. Father, to me, becoming the next Lan family's head isn't what I want. Rather than bearing this responsibility, I would rather have more freedom. Moreover, my connection with Limitless Palace can no longer be severed. Once I become the Lan family's head, what will happen to Limitless Palace? Lan Yunxiao was silent for a moment. He had already thought of the problem Bailey Hongzhuang raised. Since you already have a plan in mind, we will support you no matter what. The next day, Bailey Hongzhuang told her thoughts to Lan Hongtai and the other elders. Everyone was shocked when they heard Bailey Hongzhuang's decision. They didn't expect Bailey Hongzhuang to make such a decision. However, after a short silence, no one objected. Bailey Hongzhuang was still young. If Lan Yunxiao inherited the family head position, Bailey Hongzhuang would have more time to develop. Moreover, Lan Yunxiao's prestige in the Lan family had always been unmatched by others. After a short discussion, everyone agreed to Bailey Hongzhuang's suggestion. After that, everything went smoothly. The Lan clan did not put up any resistance after hearing the news. Although they had gone through an internal conflict, the remaining members of the Lan family were more united than before. After Yuman Lan and Lan Jingquang knew that Lan Qingyan had fallen, the two of them fell into despair. The second elder and the other elders pleaded with Lan Hongtai, but at this time, Lan Hongtai showed his ruthless side. He didn't spare the second elder and the others. Instead, he chose to kill them. Back then, it was precisely because the family couldn't work together that the tragedy happened. Now that the family was finally united, he couldn't let such a black sheep affect the entire family. Although the process was a bit disappointing, Lan Hongtai knew very well that once these tumors were removed, the Lan family would develop even better. At least before he stepped down from the Lan family's head position, he had to lay a good foundation for Lan Yunxiao. Let him take on these reputations that were not against him. Chapter 28-21. The Lan family members were extremely shocked when they learned that Lan Hongtai had made such a decision. This was completely different from the househead's previous style, but none of the elders objected. They were all too clear that if a family wanted to undergo a transformation, it would definitely undergo a baptism of blood. Although the process was cruel, the benefits were equally great. Speaking of which, the reason why this decision was carried out so smoothly was all thanks to the internal strife of Lan Jingquang and the others. If it weren't for that internal strife that allowed the Lan family members to clearly see the existence of this crisis, it would have been difficult to carry out this plan. Lan Kaicheng and the others had always believed that the househead wouldn't be so ruthless to them, so when they learned of the househead's orders, all of them fell into madness. Impossible! The househead wouldn't do this to us. Lan Kaicheng shook his head continuously, his face full of despair. As the Lan family's elders, even if we didn't make any contributions, we still worked hard. Even if we made the wrong choice this time, isn't it too cruel for him to do this? Lan Yongtai's face was also filled with disbelief, pain and disbelief. Lan Borong looked at Lan Kaicheng and the others who had fallen into madness with a sigh. It's not frightening that you chose the wrong side, but the methods you've done these years have exceeded the limits of what we can tolerate. Now that things have come to this, you should peacefully accept this result. These years Lan Kaicheng and the others' actions hadn't escaped Lan Hongtai's eyes. However, after Lan Hongtai lost Lan Yunxiao, he fell into a state of depression and was too lazy to pay attention to many things. Now that Lan Yunxiao had returned, the situation was completely different. Therefore, they wouldn't continue to indulge in all the mistakes they had made, and the hidden dangers they had created. Hearing the decisiveness in Lan Borong's words, Lan Kaicheng and the others all paled to the extreme. If they still had a trace of hope before, now they knew that there was no longer any possibility. Not far away, after hearing Lan Hongtai's decision, Lan Jingquang's handsome face also lost all color. The jealousy and resentment in his heart surged to the extreme. He fiercely punched the wall, leaving behind a bright red bloodstain. Jingquang. Seeing Lan Jingquang's actions, Yumanlan was shocked. She quickly walked to Lan Jingquang's side. That damned old man. Back then, all I did was destroy Lan Yunxiao's family, yet he treated me like that. Now, in order to help Lan Yunxiao stabilize his position, he actually ordered everyone's lives to be taken. In the end, I have no weight at all in his heart. Although Lan Jingquang was locked up in the dungeon, he still had some understanding of what was happening outside. Especially the important news that Lan Yunxiao was about to succeed the Lan family head. Almost everyone was talking about it, which was what he found most difficult to accept. Hearing Lan Jing's crazy complaints, Yu Manlan also fell silent. Now they had already lost all hope. In comparison, Lan Kaicheng and the others dying a quick death was already a kind of pleasure. On the other hand, they would probably suffer endless torture. After Lan Borong announced the order and left, Lan Kaicheng and the others looked at Lan Jingquang and Lan Yu with eyes full of anger. It's all your fault. It's all because of you. For 7 days, Lan Hongtai and the rest stood guard outside the room, never leaving. The more time passed, the more worried everyone became because they could no longer sense any fluctuations in the room. Mu Lingbing couldn't help but take a deep breath to relieve the pressure in her heart. She muttered to herself, "It's been so many days. Nothing should happen, right?" Mu Jins placed a hand on Mu Lingbing's shoulder and comforted her. "Don't worry, nothing will happen." Chapter 28-23. Just when everyone was feeling uneasy, there was a sudden movement in the house. Everyone's eyes looked towards the house at the first moment, and their expressions revealed a bit of nervousness. The surroundings seemed to fall into silence in an instant. Everyone could hear the heavy breathing of Mu Lingbing and the rest. Everyone's gaze was fixed on the room, afraid that they would miss something. A moment later, the tightly shut door suddenly opened. Bailey Hongzhuang was the first to walk out. Looking at the nervous crowd outside, she revealed a smile. The originally nervous crowd couldn't help but let out a sigh of relief when they saw the smile on Bailey Hongzhuang's face. Mu Lingbing's mind was stretched taut like a string, and she finally relaxed, her whole body somewhat unsteady. Mu Jin's eyes were sharp and her hands were nimble. She immediately supported Mu Lingbing, but Mu Lingbing shook her head, indicating that she didn't need to worry. After Bailey Hongzhuang walked out, everyone couldn't help but look behind Bailey Hongzhuang. But they didn't see Lan Yunxiao's figure. Immediately, doubt appeared on the faces of the people who had originally heaved a sigh of relief. "Yixuan, where's your father?" Lan Hongtai asked. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curled into a faint smile, her expression light. "Don't worry. Father has already successfully merged with the Rainbow Pearl. The Pearl's power is very strong. Father is currently in the process of breaking through. Once he succeeds, he will naturally come out." Following Bailey Hongzhuang's words, everyone finally sighed in relief. Joyful smiles surfaced on their faces. This was truly delightful news. Now we can be at ease. Mu Jins looked at Mu Lingbing beside her. Among all of them, Mu Lingbing was the most nervous. This daughter of hers was also infatuated with love like her. It was a good thing that Lan Yunxiao had always treated her well. Mu Lingbing nodded. She seemed to have guessed Mu Jin's thoughts. Mu Lingbing was a little embarrassed. She was indeed a little too nervous. Bailey Hongzhuang's gaze swept across everyone. From their mental state, she could guess that they had been guarding outside the house for the past 7 days and had never left. "We can rest assured now. Everyone go back and rest. Once Father has completed his breakthrough, he will naturally come out," Bailey Hongzhuang said slowly. Although everyone in front of her was tired, Bailey Hongzhuang felt a strong sense of kinship. Everyone in front of her was her family. "Yixuan, you've been working the hardest these days. Hurry up and go back to rest." Mu Jins did not overlook the exhaustion on Bailey Hongzhuang's face. She had helped to market the fusion of the Rainbow God bead, so the consumption was definitely not small. That's right. Hurry up and go back to rest. Have a good rest, everyone said with concern. Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang nodded and did not refuse. Chapter 28-24. Controlling the fusion of the rainbow pearl consumed my yuan power and mental strength. My condition is a little bad, but I'll be able to recover in a few days. Don't worry about me. Bailey Hongzhuang's voice was gentle. Although her complexion was somewhat pale, her eyes were gentle. Yunjue, it must have been hard on you to guard outside my room these past few days. Now that I'm fine, you should have a good rest too. Bailey Hongzhuang had always felt somewhat apologetic towards Mo Yunjue because she was unable to repay his kindness. However, she also understood that if she directly rejected him, it would hurt Mo Yunjue's heart even more. Thus, she could only interact with him as a friend. Mo Yunjue had long understood the current way of getting along with Bailey Hongzhuang, but he was also very happy that Bailey Hongzhuang had already regarded him as a relative. In any case, the relationship between them was relatively close. Compared to disappearing in Bailey Hongzhuang's world, he wanted to accompany Bailey Hongzhuang in this way. Then I'll go back first. You guys should rest early too. Di Beichen nodded. All right. As the time he spent with Mo Yunjue increased, Di Beichen and Mo Yunjue began to appreciate each other. If it wasn't for Bailey Hongzhuang, the two of them would have become good friends. Not long after Bailey Hongzhuang returned to her room, they felt a tyrannical aura erupt from Lan Yunxiao's room. It was obvious that he had successfully broken through. Lan Yunxiao's breakthrough took an entire 7 days. During this period of time, the entire Lan family had learned of this news and were all overjoyed. The changes in the Lan family quickly spread throughout the entire Shangxian continent, shocking everyone. All these years, the Lan family's position in the aristocratic families had always been very stable, and there had never been any changes. Unexpectedly, just when everyone was certain that Lan Qingyan would become the head of the Lan family, such an unforeseen event occurred. At the same time, the shocking secret from 19 years ago was exposed. In an instant, everyone understood the grudges between Lan Jingquang and Lan Yunxiao. They were extremely shocked by Bailey Hongzhuang's sudden appearance. During the Battle of Zhualu, Bailey Hongzhuang's name had already resounded throughout the Shangxian continent. Following the appearance of this secret, everyone knew that Bailey Hongzhuang's true background was so valiant, and her forbearance and sacrifice all these years was even more shocking. Many youths immediately idolized Bailey Hongzhuang because the changes she experienced over the years were absolutely a legend. Lan Jingquang had controlled the Lan family for so many years, but who would have thought that he would completely lose his position in such a short period of time? Even the famous genius Lan Qingyan had fallen just like that. It was truly lamentable. Those who originally wanted to take advantage of the Lan family's internal strife to do something to the Lan family completely gave up on this idea when they found out that the Lan family's in-laws were actually the Tiangang sect and the Sun Moon Palace. Once these three colossi joined forces, in addition to the Limitless Palace, they were simply the four giants of the Shangxian continent. Who would dare to offend them? Following this unforeseen event, the entire Shangxian continent's top forces changed. In order to face the suffering they had suffered all these years, for the strong hatred in his heart all these years, for his constant desire for revenge, he would attach all of this to Lan Jingquang and Yu Manlan. You said I'm cruel, but aren't your methods despicable? Lan Jingquang's eyes reddened. If word of what you've done spreads, do you think they'll still think of you as the elegant Lan Yunxiao? Lan Yunxiao shook his head. You don't need to provoke me. I've absorbed all your experience over the years. I definitely won't have the chance to let you appear before the world again. Tomorrow is the day I take over the position of patriarch. If there is a chance, I will let you witness it with your own eyes. Chapter 28-26. Watching Lan Yunxiao's departing figure, Lan Jingquang sat on the ground as if he had lost all his strength. His eyes were vacant and defeated. Jingquang, what should we do now? Yu Manlan had long been flustered. She had been looking forward to Lan Yunxiao, and the others not punishing them for the past few days. A gentleman like Lan Yunxiao might just let them go like this. However, Lan Yunxiao's words today made her realize that it was just her wishful thinking. They didn't deal with them because they didn't have the time. Once the Lan family's matter was settled, their pain would come. Lan Jingquang flung away Yu Manlan's arm that was supporting him. His eyes were bloodshot like an angry lion. You're asking me what to do? There's no other choice but to wait for death. If we can die during this time, it'll be the best outcome. Otherwise, we'll have to spend the rest of our lives like Lan Yunxiao and the others. Bailey Hongzhuang was truly ruthless. She had already crippled their cultivation, leaving them no chance to resist. Right now, they were already in a situation where they could neither live nor die. Yu Manlan shivered and her face turned deathly pale. As the instigator, she knew all too well what kind of torment Lan Yunxiao and Lan Yunxiao had endured. If all of this happened to her, she definitely wouldn't be able to bear it. No, I don't want that. Yu Manlan sat on the ground and wailed without a care for her image. She was the eldest miss of the Yu family, the madam of the Lan family. But now the Yu family was gone and they had no status in the Lan family. Why did she let herself become so miserable? Lan Yunxiao walked out of the dungeon and heard the cries. His eyes were still cold and heartless. With a wave of his hand, the sound from the dungeon was completely cut off. Whoever dared to make his wife and daughter suffer for so many years, he would definitely make them regret their actions. The Lan family was currently in full swing, preparing for Lan Yunxiao's conferring ceremony. Compared to the previous ceremony, the Lan family was undoubtedly happier this time. Most importantly, they didn't have to worry about any unforeseen events. With such a new home, everyone was filled with confidence for the Lan family's future. At this moment, the entire Lan family was thriving. It was as if the sky had cleared up after the rain. All the haze from before had disappeared. At this moment, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others received a message. There were guests. After hearing the servant's announcement, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others couldn't help but look at each other with a trace of doubt in their eyes. What kind of guests would come at such a time? When Bailey Hongzhuang and her entourage arrived at the Lan family's door, two familiar figures appeared in their line of sight. Master, mistress. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the two people in front of her in surprise. She did not expect that her master and his wife would come at this time. Hongzhuang. Nangong Wu's face was full of smiles, and she immediately walked to Bailey Hongzhuang's side. Mistress, I didn't expect you to come. This is truly a pleasant surprise. Bailey Hongzhuang couldn't conceal the pleasant surprise on her elegant face. She originally thought that her master and mistress would never set foot in the Lan family again. Chapter 28-27. Linfeng, I didn't expect you to come. Lan Yunxiao looked deeply at Yu Linfeng. Others didn't know what happened back then, but he was very clear about it. The Lan family was probably the place Yu Linfeng didn't want to face the most. Yu Linfeng smiled faintly. I heard that tomorrow is the day you become the head of the Lan family. As a good brother, I naturally came to congratulate you. But I hated the Lan family in the past, but this is your Lan family now, so it's different. With you and Hongzhuang here, I'm afraid I can't avoid dealing with the Lan family in the future. Yu Linfeng's smile was like a spring breeze, and his posture was free and easy. As a good brother, Lan Yunxiao could naturally see that Yu Linfeng wasn't pretending to be free and easy. He was truly indifferent. Thank you, brother. Lan Yunxiao hugged Yu Linfeng. He understood the humiliation Yu Linfeng suffered back then, and Yu Linfeng was willing to let go of this hatred entirely because of him and Hongzhuang. Just this point alone was enough to see Yu Linfeng's sincerity. Hongzhuang, I heard the news when I was at Wuji Palace. I have to say you really did well. Nangong Wu's eyes were filled with excitement. It's a pity I didn't get to see it with my own eyes, but just hearing about it is enough to make me happy. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. That's because grandfather has always supported us. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been easy to go against the entire Lan family. Everyone quickly come in and take a seat, Mu Lingbing said with a smile. Lan Hongtai and the others were very surprised when they heard that Lan Yunxiao's friend had come. They all walked towards the Lan family's entrance, wanting to know who the guest was. It was just that when Lan Hongtai and the rest saw Yu Linfeng, all of their expressions froze. Although that familiar face had lost its youthfulness and arrogance, they still recognized him at a glance. Junchen, Lan Hongtai looked at Yu Linfeng in astonishment, his eyes filled with astonishment. After Lan Junchen left, he had never seen the former again. He didn't expect to see the former again today. After Yu Linfeng saw Lan Hongtai, his bright eyes dimmed for a moment before returning to normal. However, there was still a sense of alienation on his face. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen looked at each other. It seemed that Yu Linfeng's previous name was Lan Junchen. Lan Borong stared at Lan Junchen in a daze. His usually calm face was now filled with complicated emotions, and his hands were trembling slightly. Junchen. Yu Linfeng's handsome face turned cold. I'm not Junchen, I'm Yu Linfeng. As soon as these words came out, Lan Borong and the others were all stunned. They quickly thought of Yu Linfeng's name in their minds, and their expressions couldn't help but change. Limitless Palace Master, Yu Linfeng? That's right. Bailey Hongzhuang looked at the slightly awkward and strange atmosphere in front of her and couldn't help but say, "This is my master." Lan Hongtai and the others still had strange expressions, but they nodded stiffly. So it's Palace Master Yu. I've long heard of your great name. The coldness on Yu Linfeng's face dissipated slightly. His gaze swept past Lan Borong and the others before turning to Lan Yunxiao. Chapter 28-28. Lan Yunxiao led Yu Linfeng and the others to his residence, while Lan Hongtai and the others stopped in their tracks. Watching Yu Linfeng's departing figure, Lan Hongtai and the others looked at each other with unconcealable shock in their eyes. Wuji Palace's palace master is actually Junchen. Lan Hongtai couldn't help but exclaim in astonishment. This news was simply too shocking. No wonder Wuji Palace rejected us so bluntly when we expressed our goodwill. So this was the problem. I didn't expect this child's cultivation talent to be so strong. Back then alas. All the elders sighed and couldn't help but sigh in their hearts. Life's fate was truly complicated. They had long heard about the establishment of Wuji Palace and Yu Linfeng's legendary life, but they didn't expect such an outstanding palace master to be a member of their Lan family. Such a talented person had left the Lan family just like that. Speaking of which, they had truly let down this child. Lan Hongtai patted Lan Borong's shoulder and said, "No matter what, it's a good thing to be able to see him again." Lan Borong's expression stiffened. Yu Linfeng's appearance had truly given him too much of a shock. For a moment he couldn't return to his senses. After regaining his senses, his mood was extremely complicated. There was excitement and guilt. Just like how Lan Hongtai had always felt sorry for Lan Yunxiao's family, the person he, Lan Borong, owed the most in his life was Lan Junchen. After Bailey Hongzhuang walked for a while, she couldn't help but look back at Lan Borong and the others who were still in the same place. If she didn't guess wrong, the person who was related to Master should be the Great Elder. "Master, do you think your Master and First Elder look alike?" Xiao He asked. Bailey Hongzhuang frowned slightly as Yu Linfeng and Lan Borong's faces appeared in her mind. Her tone was uncertain as she said, "They don't look alike, but if you think about it carefully, they do. Not everyone looked like their parents, but from their silhouettes, one could vaguely see some similarities." "Could it be? We can't say for sure, but we'll know sooner or later," Bailey Hongzhuang said. She didn't know what Yu Linfeng had experienced in the Lan family, but she was certain it wasn't a happy memory. However, if Yu Linfeng was really related to First Elder, then with First's identity and status, he shouldn't let Yu Linfeng suffer. Inside the room, Lan Yunxiao and the others were happily gathered together. They exchanged pleasantries and congratulated each other. After lunch, Lan Borong suddenly came. The moment Lan Borong appeared, Yu Linfeng's face darkened once more. I've come to disturb you. Lan Borong had an awkward smile on his face, but his gaze could not help but fall on Yu Linfeng. Lan's eyes nodded Lan's S's. Lan Yunxiao nodded. He wasn't surprised by Lan Borong's appearance. Nangong Wu also looked at Lan Borong in confusion. She had some understanding of Lan Yunxiao's past, but now it seemed she only knew a part of it. At the very least, everyone present could see the special relationship between Lan Borong and Lan Yunxiao. Then let's go out first, Lan Yunxiao said. Chapter 28-29. However, Yu Linfeng coldly said, I have nothing to say to you. As soon as these words came out, Lan Borong's expression couldn't help but stiffen, and the awkwardness and stiffness on his face became even more intense. Junchen, my name is Yu Linfeng. I'm afraid head elder has mistaken me for someone else? Yu Linfeng coldly said. Bailey Hongzhuang and the others couldn't help but stop in their tracks, their eyes turning to Lan Yunxiao. Lan Yunxiao nodded at everyone, indicating that they should leave together. Seeing this, Bailey Hongzhuang and the others no longer hesitated and walked out of the house, leaving space for Lan Borong. After leaving the room, Nangong Wu frowned and asked, What's the relationship between Linfeng and your Lan family's head elder? It seems like there are many things that I don't know. You don't know either? Lan Yunxiao was a little surprised, but the sigh in his eyes deepened. It seemed like the knot in Yu Linfeng's heart was deeper than he had imagined. I only know that the Lan family suspects Linfeng's bloodline and everyone ostracizes him, saying that he's not a member of the Lan family. That's why he left the Lan family. Isn't that the case? Nangong Wu's expression revealed some worry. This was the answer that Yu Linfeng had given her when she asked Yu Linfeng. Could it be that Yu Linfeng didn't tell her the truth? Lan Yunxiao nodded. You're right. That's how it is, but it's a little more complicated. Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Beichen couldn't help but look at each other. They finally understood why Yu Linfeng loathed the Lan family so much. Suspecting his bloodline meant suspecting Yu Linfeng's identity, and even questioning Yu Linfeng's parents. If it was anyone else, they wouldn't be able to accept it. Yunxiao, tell me everything in detail. I don't want Linfeng to always keep this matter in his heart. At least after knowing it, I can help him resolve some of it. Nangong Wu pleaded with Lan Yunxiao. All these years, Yu Linfeng had been tight-lipped about this matter. Because she didn't know enough about this matter, she couldn't say anything to comfort him. In fact, she had always known that Yu Linfeng did not want to hide it from her, but it was too difficult to say. Since they were already at the Lan family, it was naturally impossible to continue hiding this matter. It was better to understand it as soon as possible. She also wanted to help Yu Linfeng untie the knot in his heart. For such a long time, Yu Linfeng had never been truly happy because of this matter. She hoped that Yu Linfeng could be truly happy. Opening up the knot in his heart was the only way. Hearing Nangong Wu's words, a trace of hesitation flashed across Lan Yunxiao's face. He had never spoken of this matter because he didn't want to divulge Yu Linfeng's privacy. After all, this matter was Yu Linfeng's own matter, so it wasn't appropriate for him to speak of it. But since Linfeng isn't willing to speak of it, he probably doesn't want this matter to be known by others. If this makes Linfeng unhappy, I'm afraid the gains won't make up for the losses. According to his temperament, I'm afraid he won't speak of it for the rest of his life. However, he simply can't truly let go of it. Recently, his cultivation hasn't been able to increase due to this knot in his heart. I feel that he also wants to untie this knot in his heart. This visit to the Lan family is the best proof, Nangong Wu slowly said. You're tuning into the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.